turn 6. Now, the good news, guys, is that I have been able to get the stream up and running. So, to everyone who is tuning in on YouTube, hello, a very good day to you all. If you do want to know where you can watch on YouTube and indeed share the link to any friends or family, it's on YouTube under my channel name, Milky Cereal. And the rest of the rounds of the championship, I will be doing my best to get them streamed, and hopefully as the season progresses, the stream will be getting better and better. But here is Jack Beasley, now defending once again from Jos Bardell. Bardell going round the outside of turn 9, has a think about going up the inside, bit of contact between the pair of them. Jos Bardell just not quite committed enough on the brakes, and now Freddie Hill has it closed in to this battle as well. But Luke Dunwell stretching out his lead at the very front of the field. Jacob Trespeggy has fallen back in P7 as Max Lindgren and Spencer Wiles are duking it out for P5. But it is Jos Bardell who is up into second, and now Beasley goes wide through turn 4 as Freddie Hill stuffs one up the inside. Up into third he goes, but Beasley not going to give up without a fight up the inside of turn 5. Freddie Hill, though, holds it around the outside and goes up into P3. So out of the podium then is Jack Beasley, the driver who started in pole position. Spencer Wiles and Max Lindgren making their way through turn 7 and now down towards turn 8. So we should be seeing our leading four coming over the crest, and there they are. Luke Dunwell looking to start off the Junior Sprint League with a bang and a race win. Beasley, though, going up the inside of Freddie Hill into turn 9, makes it work, slams the door shut on Freddie Hill, but that compromises on him on exit, and Freddie Hill gets a fantastic switch back up into third, goes defensive into the final corner. This is going to work quite well for Jos Bardell to be able to pull away from this fighting duo for P3, and Jos Bardell has been able to stretch nearly a second now to the two karts behind him. So, laps last time round, Luke Dunwell a 1:16.4, Jos Bardell a 1:17.1, 1:17.5 for Freddie Hill, and a 1:17.9 for Jack Beasley. Spencer Wiles, Max Lindgren, and Jacob Trespeggy lapping in the mid-1:17s, separated by just a couple of tenths on that particular occasion. But Jacob Trespeggy now 6 seconds behind Lindgren and Spencer Wiles, just 3 seconds separating your top four. But Luke Dunwell having a pretty good drive so far, as Beasley goes up the inside of Freddie Hill into turn 9, but that means he's got the outside into 10, and Freddie Hill holds on to P3, and now this is just a battle for third. I don't think they're going to be fighting for second, as that's a good move from Spencer Wiles, up the inside of Max Lindgren into turn 10. Makes the move stick as well. Oh, as Freddie Hill and Beasley making contact on the exit of turn 1. Still Freddie Hill, though, who is in P3. Jos Bardell, though, fastest man on circuit with a 1:16.2, taking 2 tenths out of Luke Dunwell. We've only got 6 minutes left in the race, though. And Bardell's going to be having to take about half a second a lap if he wants to be able to fight for this race win. But the main fight right now is that for P3 between Freddie Hill and Jack Beasley. And remember, Jack Beasley started this race on pole, and he looked like he had the pace to take the win, but he's just slowly dropped through the field, been fighting with everyone, and as a result, just fallen back from your race leader, Luke Dunwell. Freddie Hill goes defensive into turn 10. Beasley looks for a switchback, can't find it, and gets on, I think, a patch of grease, really, on the exit of the hairpin, loses loads of traction. We come across the line to start a new lap. And once again, Jos Bardell taking a 10th out of Luke Dunwell, but the gap is still 1.7 seconds, and a 10th a lap is not going to be enough to bring that gap down by the end of the race. So Luke Dunwell makes his way through turn 7. Jos Bardell is visibly a lot closer to Dunwell, but he's just, I don't think he has enough time. I think he needs another 5 minutes or so. We've got just under 5 minutes remaining in our first race of the day here at Daytona Milton Keynes. With a slight change in event format, having the Sprint League running before the INKART Championship. And again, here comes Beasley. This time he's up the inside of Freddie Hill into turn 9. But Hill holds it around the outside, gives himself the inside into turn 10. Beasley again looks for the switchback, but Freddie Hill just parks it on the apex. Great defensive driving from Freddie Hill to hold on to P3 in the dying minutes of the race. This is the penultimate lap of the race as well, so Jack Beasley does not have many more opportunities if he wants this podium from Freddie Hill. Luke Dunwell just has to keep the kart on circuit at this point, taking nearly 2/10 out of Jos Bardell on that last lap. The only two drivers who are lapping in the 1:16s currently. Very, very good pace from Dunwell and Bardell. Spencer Wiles and Max Lindgren, these two have been duking it out all race long for P5. Spencer Wiles currently winning that particular battle. Hill and Beasley make their way through turn 7 down towards turn 8. And again, Beasley's going to be looking to get that run on Freddie Hill coming out of turn 8 on that really long straight, the longest straight on the circuit that leads into the long sweeping left-hander of turn 9. And again, it's a good run from Beasley. This time, though, Freddie Hill is going to go defensive. And now Beasley's going to have the inside heading into turn 10. Not quite confident enough to send it on the brakes into the slowest corner of the circuit. And across the line comes Luke Dunwell. He'll see the final lap board. And now Beasley's going to be seeing that final lap board as well. He knows that he's just got this one lap to make a move for the final spot on the podium. Dunwell and Bardell will be taking first and second as long as they keep it on circuit. But it is all about this battle for P3 and indeed the battle for P5 still being held by Spencer Wiles as Max Lindgren searches for a way through. Jacob Trispregi, former INKART champion, currently down in P7, came second in the previous championship, losing out to his brother Charlie. Quick announcement for all of our INKART drivers. If you could please get yourselves kitted up and to the end of pit lane so we can get you out on circuit for your race. That would be fabulous. So we await then Hill and Beasley to come out of turn 8. Here is Dunwell. And there is Jos Bardell, first and second as expected. And it is still Freddie Hill ahead of Jack Beasley. Which way will Beasley go? Beasley, he's up the inside. This is further up the inside than he's ever been. Hill's got to try to hold it around the outside. He does. Up the inside into turn 10. Beasley with a switchback. They're still side by side heading into the final corner. But it is Freddie Hill who has the inside. Does Beasley look for the switchback? Does he hold it around the outside? It doesn't matter. Freddie Hill will take P3. Fantastic battle between these two. But the race win honours go the way of Luke Dunwell. A very good second place for Jos Bardell. And Spencer Wiles is able to hold off Max Lindgren for P5. With Lindgren coming home in P6. Jacob Trispregi will come home in P7. Then it is the anonymous Kart 31 in 8th. And Owen Turpin who will come home in P9. So with that, we are now going to have a short break before we head out with our INKART drivers. Just a reminder for those of you trackside, we do have a YouTube stream up. So that's got the timings, and if you want to share that to any friends or family who do want to watch at home, then you can do that. The channel name is Milky Cereal, and it is titled Daytona Milton Keynes 2023 INKART Season 2 Round 1. So we're just waiting for all of our drivers to get to the end of pit lane. We are starting to seat a few of our INKART drivers. So just a reminder of the drivers who are going to be out then for our first practice session. And for those of you new to Daytona Milton Keynes or tuning in for the first time on YouTube, we run the opening practice session, which directly goes into the first heat. After the first heat is done, we bring all the carts back into the pit lane. We then send out practice number 2, which leads into heat 2. They then all come into the pit lane, and then we have heat 3, followed by heat 4. So the drivers out in heat 1 and 3. In the cadet category, we have Gillen Townsend, George Wilimovsky, Ryan Malik, Christopher Mackey-Williams, Janos Savas, Lewis Bowie, Teddy Mullen, and Kalen Keith. In the junior practice 1, and indeed junior heat 1 and heat 3, we've got Bly Gregory, Charlie Murray, Oliver Sanderson, William Hayter, Daniel Harrison, Max Wilimovsky, Samuel Aston, Thomas Jolly, Jacob Chespregi, and Archie Davies. Now, I do know that Jacob Chespregi was just racing in the Junior Sprint League. I see Jacob. So he's getting 2 series raced today. And I know he's going to be very eager to beat his brother Charlie. They always end up trading results. And last season, Charlie Chespregi was able to clinch the championship over Jacob. Season before that, it was Jacob who ended up beating Charlie back when they were in cadets. And now they've got Aidan Hammond to contest with for the entire season. Aidan Hammond, though, is going to be in the heat with Charlie Chespregi. And they're actually starting right towards the front of the junior field. And will probably be having a very good battle with the likes of Callum Franklin, who's starting that particular heat on pole. So for Jacob Chespregi, very important that he can secure a win. One of the biggest fields that we have seen here for the INKART. I'm seeing a lot of kids, a lot of parents around, which is always absolutely fantastic to see. And would you guys look at that? We now have the camera up as well on the stream. Lovely jubbly. We've pretty much got all of the drivers in their cars, just waiting for 2 or 3 more. And then we will be getting them out on to circuits, juniors, followed by cadets. This is the first round of the INKART Championship. So we don't exactly know how things will be looking for the championship. We don't really know who are our big drivers to watch out for. In the Cadet Championship, of course, you have to be watching out for Ryan Malik, current champion of the INKART series, having won the last round of Season 1 and taking the championship along with it. But there are a lot of other quick drivers in the cadet field. Lewis Bowie, always one to watch out for. And then in Heats 2 and Heats 4, you've got the likes of Kimi Densham, Jacob Kent, Richard Marks. Very quick drivers. Richard Marks and Kimi Densham tend to have some very good battles between them. And then we've got a whole load of new drivers, and we don't know where they're going to fit in. Probably some towards the front, maybe some in the mid-pack, but a total of 15 cadets out today. And in the juniors, we've got a whopping 19 juniors split into 10 kart and 9 kart heats. And one of the cool things with heats is you get mixed with different drivers. So you might have one field that is very strong and another field that's a little bit weaker. So sometimes you get drivers being able to make their first appearance in the A final as opposed to a B final, or a B final instead of a C final. And then other times it is just very close and incredibly stacked heats all around. Just got one of our testers out on circuit, testing one of the N35 karts. So once Jimmy has done his testing of the kart circuit, be ready to head out. You know what? I'm going to try to do something here. I'm just wondering, could we get this camera to face out on circuit? We can. That's not bad. So that's the view that I have, folks. I was thinking that I could maybe have the camera facing out to the circuit instead of facing at me, so you guys can kind of see a little bit of what's happening on track. But I don't really think it is quite good enough of a view for that. So our kart tester is into the pit lane, so we should be getting our drivers out then for our first practice session of the junior and cadet fields. A few new drivers, which also means for me that I have new suits, new helmets to learn. So we'll see whether I can actually remember drivers' helmets or not. I need to grab a pen so I can write down all of the new helmets. Usually I have one with me, but today I may have forgotten to bring it up with me. Tell you what, while we wait for these karts to get out on circuit, I'm going to write up some quick notes on driver suits and helmets so I can't forget them. So, we do have our karts heading out on to circuit, being led by Bly Gregory. Still red at the end of pit lane, but they have all gathered at the end of pit lane, so we will be allowing them out onto circuit very, very shortly. And we are now green at the end of pit lane. And out onto circuit. for the first practice session of the day. Juniors out, and now we will be allowing our cadets out onto track, being led by Gillen Townsend, I believe. So, our first laps have now been started by our drivers. "13 drivers out on circuit right now. So we are using the national circuit, so we're not using the full track layout here at Daytona Milton Keynes. We've got a bit of a battle right here between, I think that is Oliver Sanderson, and is that Bly Gregory? Potentially in front of him in a green suit, which looks very similar to that of Freddie Hill. And then Charlie Chesbreggy just behind, along with William Hayter. Jacob Chesbreggy having a little bit of a battle here with Oliver Sanderson, and Jacob goes up the inside of Oliver into the final corner, gets himself a bit of clear air in front of him. This is just practice, so the lap times don't really count for anything other than giving us an idea as to what we can expect from the racing today. Jacob Chesbreggy at the top of the times with a 1:02.7. Then we've got the Kart 70 Anonymous with a 1:03.5. We've got another Anonymous in fourth. Oliver Sanderson, sandwiched between our two Anonymous drivers. Lewis Bowie, very, very quick in the cadet field. That's something else to mention for those people new to Daytona Milton Keynes. With the INKART Championship, the juniors and cadets, their paces are actually relatively similar. So very often we do see a lot of the quick cadet drivers having lap times in and amongst the junior drivers, and that is the case for Lewis Bowie right now. Gillen Townsend as well with a very quick time, jumps up to 5th overall and ahead of Lewis Bowie. Kalen Keith, quickest driver out on circuit in the cadet class, has just been pipped by Jacob Chesbreggy and Oliver Sanderson. We've got an Anonymous driver in the 70 car. I would hazard a guess that is Rayan Malik. Archie Davies now up into second, as is Charlie Murray. So it does seem that we've got quite a few quick new junior drivers to keep our eyes out for today. We just continue to investigate the time. So Jacob Chesbreggy at the top, half a second clear of Archie Davies. Charlie Murray then sits in third ahead of Oliver Sanderson and Caelan Keith. Caelan Keith being the first of the cadet drivers on the field. Then we've got the anonymous of kart 61, anonymous of kart 65. Doesn't help us very much knowing that there are anonymous drivers out there. Max Wilimowski is sitting in 9th ahead of Rayan Malik in 10th. Then comes Lewis Bowie, Gillen Townsend, Thomas Jolly, Teddy Mullen, Daniel Harrison, George Wilimowski, and the anonymous kart 75. Well, I think for that 75 driver, it might be one of their first times out on circuit, learning the track and trying to slowly get up to a pace. Current best of a 1:33.8, and I expect that by the end of the practice session, that time is going to be down to the low 120s or so. We've got 5 minutes remaining in the practice session currently. And it is still Jacob Chesbreggy who leads the times. Only a 10th clear of Oliver Sanderson. Oliver Sanderson, always a driver to watch out for. Very, very quick, but I think just struggles relative to the likes of Jacob Chesbreggy, Aidan Hammond, and Charlie Chesbreggy to make his way through the field. So often we see really good pace from Oliver, but he just can't get through the traffic, and that's where he really loses out to our top junior drivers. Otherwise, he'd be right up there battling for the championship. So whenever Sanderson is towards the front of the grid, really, really watch out for him. Let's see if my camera on the YouTube stream wants to work now. It does indeed. There you go. We've got a camera back, folks. A lot of exposure on our camera as well. Oh, that's a nice move from one of our cadets up the inside in to turn 10. It's going to take me a while to learn some of our new cadet drivers, new helmets, new suits, to learn the start of a new championship. I think that is Gillen Townsend at the back of the field. I recognise that red suit and white helmet. As he goes up the inside into turn 2. Good bit of jostling, and that's something else to remember as well in these young cadet and junior practice sessions. They don't treat it as practice. They tend to practice overtaking rather than practicing their lap times, which means you always get to see some really fun battles out on circuit. Still, though, top of the times is Jacob Chesbreggy with a 60.5. Sometimes we see drivers eking their way into the 59s, but maybe it's still a little bit damp out on circuit. So we'll have to wait a bit for the drivers to really gain that confidence. 3/10 off Jacob is Oliver Sanderson. Then Archie Davies in his first appearance here at the Daytona Milton Keynes INKART Championship. Same for Charlie Murray and Bly Gregory, Max Wilimowski, and one of our anonymous drivers in that kart 65. Caelan Keith, though, incredibly impressive in the cadet category. Currently at the top of the times. And as I say that, Lewis Bowie jumps to the top of the cadet times by less than a 10th of a second. So, listen to this, guys. Caelan Keith, Bly Gregory, Lewis Bowie, Caelan Keith, separated by just 1/10 of a second. I think we're going to be having a very exciting battle for the championship. And then, of course, you've got Rayan Malik, who's down in third, the current INKART champion. So I think it's going to be a very, very fun battle out there on circuit. And I think we're in for some good heats. And remember, this is just one set of heats. We've then got our other heat, which has the likes of Richard Marks and Kimi Densham out on track. Who else is out in that heat? Jacob Kent. Can definitely not discount Jacob Kent. We've got a new driver of James Devereaux. Maybe he's going to be a dark horse for us to watch as well. Check flag will be coming out soon, as we've got Jacob Czesbreggi, I think that is, going up the inside of one of the juniors. That might be the 62 of Archie Davies, you know. I think that was Archie Davies, who sets his new personal best of a 60.7, 60.8 for Oliver Sanderson. So your top 3 juniors separated by less than 0.3 of a second. And then you have got your cadets, Caelan Keith and Rayan Malik, separated by 0.06 of a second. It is that close. 4th and 5th overall. Then you've got your juniors of Charlie Murray, Max Wilimowski, Bly Gregory, the anonymous of 61. Then comes Lewis Bowie in the cadets, followed by some more juniors, Daniel Harrison, 65 anonymous, and Thomas Jolly in the 63. And then you've got the rest of your cadets, Gillen Townsend, Teddy Mullen, George Wilimowski, and the 75 anonymous, who has, as expected, got his lap times down into the low 120s. So all of our karts will now be brought to a halt on the approach into the long left-hander that is turn 9. And then, once they have been brought to a stop, we'll grid them up on the start-finish straight. So I've been given cool new sheets. Thank you very much. What do we have here? This is a slightly different junior practice 2. Who has joined? Who's our new driver? Harry Jupp still there. So I think it is Janos Svasats who has moved into practice 2. Okay, so one of our cadets have made their way into the junior category. Was initially meant to be in cadet practice 1, has now been moved over to junior practice 2. So we'll be seeing Mr. Svasas. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Chavas? It's one of the two, I reckon. That's another good, fun part of the start of the season. Seeing a whole bunch of new names and thinking, how do I pronounce that? So your junior grid then for practice 1 is going to be Bly Gregory on pole, Charlie Murray alongside, then Oliver Sanderson, William Hayter on row 2, Daniel Harrison and Max Wilimowski on row 3, Samuel Aston and Thomas Jolly on row 4, Jacob Czesbreggi and Archie Davies will be on row 5. In cadet practice 1, Gillen Townsend and George Wilimowski will be on row 1. Reigning champion Rayan Malik will be starting on 3rd with Christopher Mackey-Williams alongside. Janis Vasas will be starting in 5th alongside Lewis Bowie, with Teddy Mullen and Caelan Keith on row 4. Really watch out for Caelan Keith. Fastest driver in practice, very consistently was at the top of the times, and is going to be one driver to watch out for. And our, well, I'd say dark horse for the championship, but with the pace that he was showing, he's going to be the white stallion maybe for this championship. In the junior category, Oliver Sanderson starting at the front. You cannot count him out. Very, very quick. Archie Davies, second in the times in practice. He's starting alongside Jacob Czesbreggi at the very back of the grid. We'll see what Archie Davies and Jacob Czesbreggi can do from the back of the field. As I'm seeing now, William Hayter making his way onto the grid, followed by Jacob Czesbreggi. And there is Archie Davies. Black suit, white bell helmet. Is that clear visor? Iridium visor? All the different ways are used to kind of identify drivers out on circuit. I know when we have our adult super champs, there's one very quick driver by the name of Kuba Wozniak, who I recognise because he always has a pink balaclava, and you can very easily spot it underneath his helmet. So you see the balaclava and you're like, ah, that's Kuba. But our first INKART race of the day will be getting underway shortly. We're getting our cadets to line up now. There is Gillen Townsend, who will be lining up on pole, followed by George Wilimowski. Both Wilimowskis out in this race. The older brother, Max, in the junior category, and then the younger brother, George, in the cadet class. Actually, you know what would be fun? Who was quicker out of the two of them? So Max did a 102.1, sorry, a 101.3 as his fastest time, and George did a 104.3. So the ordering is what we would expect. But it's always good when you've got your younger brother to give you some extra competition. I remember when I was competing back in chess, once my younger brother started playing, it made me, push myself a bit further because I couldn't get beaten by my younger brother. And I like to say I gave, good influence for my younger brother to actually get good. Otherwise, he would have been terrible. All of our carts, though, are gridded up. So we're going to have our junior start. After the juniors have started, after about 15 or so seconds, we will get our cadets underway. So just making sure that everyone's engines are on and we are ready to go, as it is a bit of a long way between our first juniors lining up on the grid to the last cadet. And sometimes some of the engines do just kind of idle out. And then you have to give a quick pull on the engine cord and get them started again. But Bly Gregory, Charlie Murray on the front row of the grid. Oliver Sanderson is really going to be licking his lips at the thought of a race win. And away we go. Is a good start from Gregory. Murray tries to hold it around the outside. Oliver Sanderson up into P3. Further down the order, that's Jacob Chisbregi and Archie Davies just following the field through. But it is still Bly Gregory who lead from Charlie Murray, heading through the chicane of 2 and 3 with Oliver Sanderson down in P3. And now we look towards our cadets and away we go. Good start, I believe, for Gillen Townsend, who will lead the field away. But that's Rayan Malik, who is already up into second place. So a fantastic start for our reigning champion. And it will be Townsend ahead of Malik, heading through the chicane and into turn 4 they go. For the likes of Lewis Bowie further down the field, he's going to have to get through this field as quickly as possible. And actually, is that Lewis Bowie's helmet in P3? It is indeed. So Lewis Bowie has had an absolutely fantastic start. Rayan Malik tries to get the exit coming out of turn 5, but can't pull alongside Townsend, as now our juniors are making their way through turn 10. And that is Oliver Sanderson searching for a way through up into P2 on Charlie Murray. Gets a really good run coming out of the final corner. Can he get alongside into turn 1? He can indeed. Oliver Sanderson will be up into P2 and now just has to hunt down race leader Bly Gregory. Rayan Malik gets a good run on Lewis Bowie, but that meant that Lewis Bowie was able to temporarily get ahead. Gillen Townsend, though, still leading the way. Rayan Malik with a very good exit on Townsend. Will have the inside heading into turn 1. And Rayan Malik will take the lead of the race. Can Lewis Bowie follow through? Darts over to the inside to avoid contact. Up the inside of turn 2. And that is Lewis Bowie up into second place. And now he can try to hunt down Rayan Malik for the race lead as an attempt down the inside. That was Caelan Keith, who has had an absolute stormer of an opening lap. Up into P4 now, searching for a way through on Townsend, looking to get the exit coming out of turn 5 and does exactly that. Great drive from Caelan Keith, but can he get up the inside heading into turn 6? Too far back, as now we see Jacob Chisbregi finding a way through on William Hayter, and I believe that is the green suit and white helmet of Charlie Murray, who has now fallen down into P4, but Jacob Chisbregi hunting down Oliver Sanderson, which means it's chop time for Oliver Sanderson. He needs to get through up into the lead as quickly as possible. Otherwise, he's going to be an early lunch for Mr. Chisbregi. Rayan Malik, though, leading in the cadet field ahead of Lewis Bowie. Can these two try to pull away from the two behind? Because Caelan Keith is rapid. And as soon as he gets past Gillen Townsend, he's going to be onto the back of Lewis Bowie as quick as you like. So very important for Bowie to get his head down. Caelan Keith has a think about the inside. In the end, goes to the outside through turn 4. Will he be able to get the drive? Kind of, but he can't look to the outside heading into turn 5. And again, has to slot in behind Townsend. Heading through turn 5, gets the switch back on the exit. And they're side by side now on the approach into turn 6. National, or I should say link back corner. Bit of contact further down the field, as that is, I believe, Samuel Aston in the blue suit with the green flashings, trying to with the yellow flashings on his suit. For Caelan Keith, stuck in 4th place, can't find a way through on Gillen Townsend, who is driving really well to keep Caelan Keith behind him for so long. And this is allowing Malik and Bowie just to pull away at the front of the field. You can see the gap between them has now stretched to, what is that? If I have a quick look, it's 3 seconds from second down to third. Caden Keith, though, has got a good run coming out of turn 4. Can he go up the inside into 5? There's contact between the pair of them. Whose fault that is, I don't know. Caden Keith was kind of up the inside, not fully. And I don't know if he was up enough for Gillen Townsend to see him, as that is Max Wilimowski having a bad run coming out of turn 10. And now up the inside is going to be William Hayter, and following him through is Samuel Aston. So Samuel Aston now side by side with Wilimowski through turn 1, as that is Jacob Chespregi, who has found a way through not only Oliver Sanderson, but past Charlie Murray as well, and into the lead of this race. Quick announcement as well for all of our Heat 2 drivers. So anyone who's not out on circuit right now, if you could please get yourselves kitted up and get yourselves to the end of pit lane, we can then get you into your karts before this race ends, and we can get you out on circuit a lot earlier. Rayan Malik, though, still leading in the cadet category, and he's got Lewis Bowie all over his rear end, as Gillen Townsend still ahead of Caelan Keith, and I think Caelan Keith very respectfully gave the position back to Townsend after their incident last lap, but this time round Keith gets a fantastic exit heading out of turn 5 and into link back corner. I think he's got the job done, but look at this battle happening down in the junior field that is coming across the line. William Hayter ahead of Samuel Aston and Max Wilimowski. 1, 2, 3, quick as you like, and then who are they followed by? That's Daniel Harrison and Archie Davies right behind them as they head into turn 4. Sent by Samuel Aston up the inside of Hayter into the hairpin of turn 4. Makes the move work, but now Hayter's on the outside heading into turn 5. Switchback potentially here from Hayter, but Samuel Aston has the inside covered. Very well driven from Samuel Aston to make that move stick and to keep William Hayter at bay. Rayan Malik still has William Bowie hot on his heels. And here is Jacob Chespregi leading the field. Oliver Sanderson has finally found a way through on Charlie Murray. But that is for second as Wilimowski goes up the inside of Hayter. Bit of contact between the pair of them. Good move from Wilimowski, but I think he thinks he did it a little bit dirtily, so he's going to allow William Hayter back through. He puts his hand up to apologise. Good sportsmanship as Wilimowski, with a great switchback out of the final corner, continues his battle with Hayter up the inside of turn 1. And this will give him the inside into the chicane of 2 and 3. Is going to be really close, but William Hayter round the outside holds onto the position. Wilimowski not done yet. He's going to force Hayter to go defensive into turn 4. And again, it's a switchback from Wilimowski. Can't get alongside heading into turn 5. And will have to yield this time around, as that is Caelan Keith now well and truly ahead of Gillen Townsend. Teddy Mullen has joined into the battle as he fights with Townsend for P4 in the cadet category. Jacob Chespregi, though, just checking out, and Oliver Sanderson has not really been able to put much distance between himself and Charlie Murray, which I think is a credit to Charlie Murray for being able to stick with Oliver Sanderson after being passed. Max Wilimowski now definitely ahead of William Hayter and has put a few kart lengths in between himself and Mr. Hayter. As further up the road, that is Samuel Aston, who has closed in onto the 65 anonymous car. Sorry, that's Bly Gregory in the 60 car. So this is actually the battle for P4 right now, with Samuel Aston currently sitting in P5 and Bly Gregory, your pole sitter for this race, sitting rather comfortably in P4, but he won't be feeling comfortable for much longer, not with Samuel Aston hot on his heels. Rayan Malik still ahead of Lewis Bowie. These two have been pretty much inseparable all race long. And another final announcement for our cadet and junior drivers to get themselves race ready for practice number 2. We want to get you in your karts before this heat draws to a close, and we've only got a couple of minutes to do that. If you're not in your karts by the time this heat ends, we then have to wait 5 minutes before we can get you out, and it slows down the whole day. Max Wilimowski trying to navigate his way through on a cadet. That's going to allow William Hayter to close back on in. All contact between a couple of drivers, as whoever was behind Max William Hayter, that was Daniel Harrison, just had a bit of side-on-side contact with the cadet. Almost had a quick trip into the tyre barriers on turn 1, but keeps it on circuit as Lewis Bowie is so close to the back of Rayan Malik. Not going to have a send up into the hairpin of turn 4. It's one of the best overtaking spots is turn 4. Now they're catching up to a cadet. This is going to give a really good opportunity for Bowie. Tries to go up the inside, but in the end he gets boxed in by the cadet that he's lapping, and that's going to cost Bowie big time. He's got his hand up in frustration because, well, Rehan Malik has pulled far, far away, but there's nothing the cadet can do. Rehan Malik just navigating the traffic a lot better than Bowie in that particular occasion. As Samuel Aston still right behind Bly Gregory, heading through the final corner. And we are heading on to the penultimate lap of the race. Oh, sorry, this is the final lap of the race. And Lewis Bowie is going to be seeing that final lap board coming out. And is going to be a little bit upset, but this is still a really good drive from Lewis Bowie from P6 to P2. If he can just win the next race when he starts ahead of Rehan Malik, he'll be looking at a front row start for the A final later on today. Bly Gregory still has Samuel Aston for company in the battle for P3. Here, though, is Jacob Chesbreghi. Absolutely inch-perfect drive from Jacob. Exactly what we expect from our former cadet champion as he looks to get his junior championship off with a bang. A heat win for Jacob Chesbreghi. Oliver Sanderson will round the final corner. He'll take P2. Can't ask for too much more than that. And a very good drive from Charlie Murray to finish best of the rest in P3. And it's a drag to the line, but Bly Gregory just about takes P4 ahead of Samuel Aston. Cracking battle between those two. And then William Hayter comes across the line just behind Max Wilimowski. Wilimowski taking P6. Then it's Daniel Harrison, Thomas Jolly. And there is Rehan Malik, who will defend his championship with a heat win ahead of a very, very rapid Lewis Bowie. Thomas Jolly will come home just behind them, and Caitlin Keith will take home P3 in the first cadet heat of the day. Behind Caitlin Heath will be Gillen Townsend, Teddy Mullen, and George Wilimowski, followed by the 75 anonymous kart, which I believe is Christopher Mackey-Williams. So with that, we're now going to have a short break while our Heat 1 drivers make their way into the pits, and then we're going to be having Heat 2 heading out on to circuit. Just a quick reminder for those of you who are tuning in trackside that we do have a nice little YouTube stream up. So if you want to share the stream with any of your friends and family who might be interested to see how your kids are getting along, then you can do that. It's on YouTube under the channel name Milky Cereal. Alright everyone, we are back and we're pretty much ready to get underway. I'm seeing a couple of drivers a bit late to getting to their karts. Deary, deary me, you're holding everyone behind. So our drivers out then for Heat 2 in the junior class. Callum Franklin will be starting from pole ahead of Aidan Hammond. Oh, Aidan! Love the new helmet. Looks very good with your suit. Charlie Chesbreggy will be starting in third. He doesn't have a new suit or helmet. He's still got his iconic green suit and white and purple helmet. Harry Jupp will be starting from P4 ahead of Jacob Aston and Jacob Smith. Janice Savas will be starting in seventh ahead of Liam Weatherall. Louis Bishop and Sam Gadd will be lining up from the back. In Cadet Heat 2, Tyler Rickard will be starting on pole ahead of James Devereaux. Louis Cox will be starting in third with Jacob Kent alongside. Then Richard Marks and Alexander Karadzov will be starting on road 3 with Kimi Densham starting at the back of the field. Kimi, I think, came second in the INKART Championship last season. Second or third, I can't remember. Either behind Noah Hobson or Lewis Bowie, potentially. But I wasn't here for the final round of the INKART Championship, so he was second going into that round. Whether that changed, I don't know. Richard Marks makes his return to the INKART Cadet Championship. Very fast driver is Richard. And we'll see whether he can battle with the likes of Rayan Malik and Lewis Bowie as well, who looks very quick. It also has to be said, Caelan Keith as well is going to be another driver to watch out for as our drivers head out onto circuit now to begin their practice session. And following them will be our cadets. Let's see if I can remember Aidan Hammond's new helmet, because it is very different to his old. Before he had a rather standard black coloured helmet, which just sat with his black suit quite well. And now I think he's got one of those new Zappa helmets that I see everyone picking up. I don't think we saw anyone getting into the 59s in the last practice session. So we'll see whether that changes. You know what, I can quite easily spot Aidan Hammond. That helmet does stick out very well. And he's got Charlie Chesbreggy right behind him. Callum Franklin, no slouch. These top three, or these first three out in Heat 2 are very, very quick drivers. And I'm expecting... Oh, that's a bit of a shunt in the cadet field. Someone just very late on the brakes. And they end up then getting past about 3 and one more driver. Just an absolute Constantine heading down into turn 10. I don't think there was anything malicious. I think they just braked at their standard point, not realizing that everyone else was going to be braking a little bit later. As that is Jacob Kent in his green suit, green helmet at the front of the field. And then I'm not quite sure who that is in second. But they are followed, I believe, by Kimi Densham just after. And then Richard Marks is a few karts further down the order. It's Callum Franklin and Charlie Chesbreggy. Now nose to tail with Aidan Hammond a little bit further back. Charlie Chesbreggy, your reigning junior INKART champion, having pipped his twin brother Jacob in the final round of Season 1 of 2023. Can he make it 2 out of 2 this season? Usually what we see is Charlie starts off the championship very well. So the first 2 rounds go Charlie's way. And then after that, Jacob then really picks up and out of nowhere is incredibly quick. Then beats Charlie. However, the difference last season was in the final couple of rounds, Charlie then picked things up massively. And as well, there was that really fun incident between Charlie and Jacob. I think it was round 3 of the season last season, where Charlie spun Jacob around, just turned into his rear end, on a drag to the line on the last lap out of the final corner. It was entertaining to watch. Not entertaining for Charlie because he picked up a penalty. But Charlie's just breaking now at the front of this train of karts. Just a reminder, it is practice, so this does not count. And a welcome to everyone tuning in on YouTube. I do have something cool that I can do, but I don't really know if this works. So I'll let you guys on YouTube let me know if you prefer this. We can have the camera facing out onto circuit so you can kind of see what's happening, but I think it's all a bit too far away to really be able to tell. I think we need to get a camera up onto the start line at some point, and things might be a little bit better. So, fastest time, a 59.4 from Aidan Hammond. Last lap being his fastest lap. Charlie Chesbreggy with a 59.7. The only two drivers who have been able to get sub 1 minute. Jacob Kent. Jacob, sir, what have you had for breakfast? Because you are rapid. Third fastest out on circuit in the cadet field. Do we have another challenger for the cadet championship? What was that? Check now. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Apologies, folks. I think the microphone had turned off somehow. So we are back. I wasn't gone. I was just talking, but talking to no one. As that is a very interesting spin from, I believe, one of the cadet drivers heading down into turn 10. Quite early on the brakes, and I think just jumped on it too early. And then the rear end locked back and just swapped rounds with the front to the back of the, well, behind Charlie and Callum Franklin anyway he went. So I was mentioning before, a fastest lap currently, Aidan Hammond, a 59.0, 59.3 for Charlie Chesbreggy, 59.3 for Callum Franklin, 59.9 for Jacob Smith. Jacob Kent also very, very fast in the cadet category with a 60.6. Richard Marks with a 61.0. Kimi Densham with a 61.2. So there are some drivers to watch out for. Jacob Kent improving with a 60.5, and maybe Jacob Kent will be another one of our challengers for the cadet championship this season, joining the likes of Caelan Keith, Ryan Malik and Lewis Bowie. We'll see whether Kimi Densham can stay in that championship fight as well, and Richard Marks too. Those are the kind of 5 or 6 drivers we expect to be right up at the front pretty much every single round. They've been coming for a while, with the exception of Caelan Keith, new to the championship. A very, very strong showing for this opening round so far, picking up a P3 in his first round, having started all the way down in P8 next heat, he's starting from pole, so we'll be eyeing up a first heat win, a maiden heat win for him. As I'm seeing, that is Richard Marks being hunted down by, is that Tyler Rickard? Because if that is, Tyler Rickard is having a really good showing. Or has Richard Marks just found a way through on Tyler? One or the other. Either way, Richard Marks that time round with a 61.3. Kimi Densham with a 60.8. And Jacob Kent a 59.9. That is absolutely rapid. Our first cadet to get sub 1 minute. And I think our first cadet this year. I don't even think Rayan Malik has got a sub 60 at any point this year. Either way, Jacob Kent absolutely on fire right now. Where is Jacob out on track? He's got a green suit and green helmet or something like that. Usually does stand out. Usually I get him mixed up with Noah Hobson. There is Jacob Kent making his way through turn 10. Green suit and green and black helmet. Now heading into the final corner. Closing in on a couple of juniors up the road. 3.5 minutes remaining of our practice session. And then we'll get these carts stopped out on circuit. And then gridded up for their first heat of the day, our second heat of the day. 58.5 for Aidan Hammond. Absolutely flying is Aidan. Callum Franklin, a 58.8. Charlie Chesbreggy, still in the 59s, a 59.0. Jacob Smith, a 59.9. That is not a bad time. It's just that these front three are lapping ridiculously quickly right now. Sam Gadd, 60.3, currently 7th overall, 6th in the junior class. James Devereaux, also good showing, a 61.1 in the cadet field, just 0.3 shy of the likes of Kimi Densham and Richard Marks, who are sitting 3rd and 2nd in the cadet field respectively. But it is one thing having pace and being able to put in these hot laps. It is another thing being able to do that consistently. I'm seeing Charlie Chispregi having a look over his shoulder. And we'll see Aidan Hammond and Callum Franklin just a few car lengths behind us. Richard Marks searches for a way through on one of the junior drivers who goes defensive into the final corner. And Richard looks for the switchback, but I think he just has to lift out of the move and slot him behind once more. Aidan Hammond has now closed in onto Charlie Chispregi. I think this is going to make Charlie a little bit nervous for the race. I mean, he's starting behind both Callum Franklin and Aidan Hammond, but practice does give an opportunity for drivers just to gain some confidence or indeed lose some confidence. If you start somewhere and you fall through the field, you lose that bit of confidence. If you've got really good pace, it just sets you up so well for the race. And while Charlie's had a very good start to this practice session, I think Aidan Hammond is going to be full of confidence by the end of it, seeing just how much he's closing up onto Charlie and Callum Franklin as well. Callum Franklin will be starting this race from pole as well. So if he can just get his head down and let Charlie and Aidan battle between themselves, he could be picking up a race win. And this is a very strong heat as well for the junior class. Having to do that against the likes of Charlie Chispregi and Aidan Hammond is not an easy task at all. Jacob Smith improving with a 59.8. Jacob Kent lapping in the low 60s. Still has that fast time of a 59.9. And here come your trio. Aidan Hammond trying to go up the inside of Charlie Chispregi. 1, 2, 3. Quick as you like across the line. Your three quickest drivers out on circuit. And the three at the front of this practice session. Charlie Chispregi battling with Aidan Hammond. Hammond having a look to the inside. Can't make the move work. Charlie Chispregi goes defensive. That's going to give Aidan Hammond a really good run, but it's giving Callum Franklin the opportunity to go up the inside of Aidan Hammond into turn 5. Makes the move work as well. Will he get the exit? It's a good enough exit to keep himself second in this train of karts. Checker flag, though, is out, so that is the final lap for all of our drivers now being completed. Charlie Chispregi still at the front, but it is Callum Franklin up into second. Aidan Hammond could definitely do with getting past Callum Franklin just to give himself that little bit of extra confidence. Very late on the brakes. Callum Franklin, though, defensive into turn 10. Look over his shoulder. He'll see Aidan Hammond coming and goes defensive. Not quite defensive enough as Aidan Hammond tries to go up the inside. Can't get it stopped, and Callum Franklin will hold on to second. But Aidan Hammond is the quickest in lap times anyway. 58.8. Sorry, a 58.5. Callum Franklin, 58.7. Charlie Chispregi, 59.0. 59.4 for Jacob Smith. Then there's the anonymous of Kart 50 with a 59.9. Who is Kart 50? I think that might be... It's not Harry Jupp. Is that Samuel Aston? Sorry, it wouldn't be Samuel Aston. It could be Jacob Smith. No, Jacob Smith is 4th. 59.4 last time around for Jacob Smith. Very quick lap time. Could it be Sam Gadd? It could be Sam Gadd or Liam Weatherall. No, Sam Gadd is 7th. So I think that is Liam Weatherall in 5th. And that's why, guys, you need to put on, when you make your profile, willing to share name. Because that way I know who you are. Otherwise, I just have to call you anonymous. And that's not very fun. So, we're now going to be getting our juniors gridded up on the start-finish straight, followed by our cadets. Callum Franklin, Aidan Hammond on the front row of the grid. Current junior champion Charlie Chispregi will be in 3rd with Harry Jupp alongside. Jacob Aston and Jacob Smith will be on row 3, the all Jacob row 3. Janos Savas. I'm pretty sure it's Savas. I think. It sounds Greek. Janos Savas will be starting in 7th with Liam Weatherall alongside. Louis Bishop and Sam Gadd will be on a row 5. In cadet, heat 2, Tyler Rickard will be on pole with James Devereaux in 2nd. Louis Cox and Jacob Kent will be on row 2. Jacob Kent very, very quick in that practice session. Richard Marks and Alexander Karadzov will be on row 3 with Kimi Densham starting from P7. Tell you what, Alexander Karadzov, very quick actually in practice. He's really picked up his pace after last season, where he had his first season. Last season did Karadzov, and he's just been getting quicker and quicker. Now just a few hundredths off Kimi Densham. Very, very impressed by Alexander. And just a reminder for those of you watching trackside, you can share the stream to your friends and family who might be interested to see how the kids are doing out on track. He is on YouTube under the channel name Milky Cereal. We sadly don't have, a camera out on circuit, so it's just a camera looking at my ugly mug, unfortunately. But we do have the live timings up there, and the commentary will all be going out onto the YouTube, so it makes for a little radio broadcast, if you will. Usually I stand up on the gantry where they wave the checkered flag, so I've got a slightly better view of the start-finish line. But from up here, I can see turn 7 a little better. Sadly, we don't use turn 7. It also means I can't quite see kart numbers, so it's a bit harder to identify some of the karts sometimes. But it does mean we get an audio stream. So, pros and cons, pros and cons. Here comes Jacob Kent then to line up. I don't know if he knows just how quick he was. He'll know that he's got the likes of Richard Marks and Kimi Densham starting behind him. But he was the quickest in practice. So if he can get through the field, he should have this race. And that is one of the differences we do see between the juniors and the cadets. The juniors tend to be a lot more aggressive, actually make moves. The cadets tend to sit line astern, very nervous, and don't often go for those overtakes. They're just a bit too scared that they're going to make contact and have a spin. So if Jacob can get his head down, get his way through the field, he could be looking at his first ever heat win. I do believe it would be his first ever heat win as well. We are pretty much ready to get underway then. Callum Franklin, Aidan Hammond on the front row of the junior field. And their eyes will be firmly on those lights. Just making a couple of final checks on some of the cadet cars. I think that's Richard Marks, whose engine might have had to be restarted. I'm seeing a thumbs up, so we will be getting underway. Watch out for Charlie Chespregi, the current junior champion. And he will be starting from P3. And away we go. Callum Franklin gets a very good start. Aidan Hammond, though, tucks in right behind Callum Franklin into P2. As apologies, but for some reason this microphone decides to keep turning off. So hopefully that does stop happening now. But it's a good start anyway from Callum Franklin. Our cadets underway as well, being led by Tyler Rickard and James Devereaux. Is that Richard Marks, who is already up into P3? Because that is a fantastic start from Richard. If so, Jacob Kent has dropped down into P5. Bit of contact as Jacob Kent has his front end chopped off heading into turn 5, and that's going to allow Kimi Densham through as well. Here come the juniors. Callum Franklin ahead of Charlie Chespregi with Aidan Hammond down in P3, and up the inside goes Charlie Chespregi into the final corner. Charlie Chespregi makes the move stick, and up into the lead of the race is the current reigning champion. Through turn 1 they go. Charlie Chespregi goes defensive. A bit of contact between himself and Franklin heading into the chicane. Aidan Hammond just waiting for an opportunity to strike. It's going to be on the outside now. Franklin heading into turn 4 as our cadets are making their way through turn 10. And that is Jacob Kent back ahead of Kimi Densham. And Kimi Densham's going to lose yet another position. It's still Tyler Rickard leading the field away. Callum Franklin right on the back of Charlie Chespregi heading down towards National Corner. And look at Jacob Kent. He's already shot off into the distance from Kimi Densham. He's really reeling in those top 3, and he wants this race win. As that is Richard Marks going up the inside of, I believe, that is James Devereaux for P2. So Richard Marks up into second now, trying to have a go at Tyler Rickard. Charlie Chespregi has been able to pull a couple of kart lengths ahead of Callum Franklin. Aidan Hammond just behind in second place, followed by the anonymous of Kart 50 and Jacob Smith. As across the line they come, and that is Franklin and Hammond side by side. Hammond has the inside for turn 1. Going to give him the inside for turn 2. Aiden Hammond up into second. But all of this battling really working wonders for Charlie Chesbreghi. And look at that. That is Jacob Kent right on the back of this three-way battle for the lead. It's only taken him about half a lap to close in. He's going to have a go up the inside of Devereaux now into turn 1. He's got the drive out of the final corner, and he's going to make the move stick. So Jacob Kent up into P3. And Devereaux had a quick think about going up the inside of turn 2. Decides against it. Look how much speed Jacob Kent carries through the chicane on an absolute charge contact with Richard Marks. Jacob Kent, I think, just carried too much speed. Just tagged the back of Marks heading out of turn 4. I'm not quite sure how exactly it occurred. I don't know if maybe Marks came across Kent or if Kent just went into the back of Marks. But either way, it's cost them a bunch of time as here come our juniors once more. Charlie Chesbreghi across the line, followed by Aiden Hammond, who is definitely starting to reel in Charlie and pulling away from Callum Franklin in P3. And then you've got the anonymous of Kart 50, followed by Jacob Smith in P5. So, this microphone just keeps turning off. Testing. If drivers can hear me, can they please start getting themselves ready at the end of pit lane so we can get you guys out for your third heat of the day. But our cadets, well and truly, battling it out. As there is Kimi Densham having a go at Jacob Kent. It's a five-way battle for the lead of this cadet heat. This is the best cadet heat I've ever witnessed. Absolutely chaotic. They're three abreast going into turn 1. Kent up the inside of Kimi Densham. Richard Marks on the outside tries to turn in, doesn't realise he's got two carts on his inside and kind of comes across a pair of them. And Richard Marks then drops down into P5. Kimi Densham is up into P3. Jacob Kent up into P4. And now they can try to hunt down Tyler Rickard, who's dropped down to second, but is now fighting back against James Devereaux. Retakes the lead from James Devereaux. What a battle. Aiden Hammond fighting with Charlie Chesbreghi as well at the front of the junior field. Aiden Hammond has taken the lead away from Charlie Chesbreghi. The exact start that Aiden Hammond needs to his championship. And here are our cadets once more. More contact as up the inside. Oh, that is a very aggressive send up the inside of Jacob Kent. And side-on-side contact. But here is Kimi Densham. Where has Kimi Densham come from? He's come from absolutely nowhere. And now he's at the front of the cadet category. He's found a way through on Devereaux. He's going to go up the inside into turn 2. And Kimi Densham now leads Heat 2 in the cadet class. Richard Marks is trying to follow him through. Trying to find a way through. He's been able to pass Tyler Rickard. Now finding a way through Devereaux. Someone's gone off into the barriers. It's one of the juniors. So this cadet battle will be left unchanged. A six-way battle for the lead. Absolutely fantastic scenes here at Daytona Milton Keynes. Kimi Densham now has Richard Marks hot on his heels heading down into turn 10. And Jacob Kent will be looking to make a way through. He's got a good run on Tyler Rickard. Can he go up the inside too far back? I think Devereaux is going to be a bit of a cork in the bottle right now. As Rickard tries to go up the inside of Devereaux into turn 1. Jacob Kent maybe has a go. Decides against it. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. Aiden Hammond, though, has pulled away from Charlie Chesbreghi. So now that Aiden Hammond is at the front of the field, he is absolutely checking out. Callum Franklin staying in touching distance of Charlie, but he needs to be able to find another half a second or so to have a proper go. And Jacob Kent has found a way through on Tyler Rickard. Now we'll be searching for a way through on James Devereaux. We've got just under 5 minutes remaining. Give me even more time of this, because this is absolutely wonderful battling between these young'uns. Richard Marks right on the tail of Kimi Densham. Jacob Kent tries to get the run on Devereaux. Not quite good enough, as Tyler Rickard is now battling pretty ferociously with Alexander Karadzov. Alexander Karadzov finds a way through on Rickard. And as I mentioned before, Karadzov is having a really good showing. Richard Marks still on the back of Kimi Densham. These two know each other very well. Best friends, apparently. Maybe not out on circuit, but off circuit they are indeed. And that is Jacob Kent up the inside now of Devereaux through turn 5. Devereaux is going to get the switch back, but I think Jacob Kent has got the job done. Now he can try to hunt down the leading two. And I think we're going to have a three-way battle for the lead of this race. And there is Densham and Marks heading down into turn 10. And look how quickly Jacob Kent is closing in. There's no doubt that Jacob Kent is the fastest man on circuit. Alexander Karadzov has found a way through on Devereaux as well. This is absolutely wonderful battling from all of the cadets out on circuit. Last time round then, from your leading two in the cadet field, Kimi Densham, Richard Marks lapping in the high 60s. Jacob Kent, 60.6. He's taken 0.3 out of Kimi Densham on that lap. 1.5 seconds behind. And Richard Marks forcing Densham to go defensive into turn 5. Yep. And here come the juniors through the final corner. Yeah, I can hear. I mean, I don't know. Like, I turn it on, I talk, and then if it turns off after 10 seconds, I don't know. I haven't muted it once. Richard Marks has been able to find a way through on Kimi Densham, and now Jacob Kent trying to have a go up the inside of turn 2. Jacob Kent! Kimi Densham holds it around the outside. Audacious move from Jacob Kent, but it does not work out, and now Karadzov's going to have a go up the inside of Jacob. Alexander Karadzov makes his way up into P3. Fantastic opportunistic move from Karadzov. But Jacob Kent is absolutely throwing everything he can to make a move, and sometimes at his own detriment. On the microphone, which way is muted? Is it up or down? Jacob Kent now side by side with Karadzov heading into the final corner. Karadzov goes defensive, and that's Devereaux trying to have a go at Jacob Kent on corner exit. Does not quite work out for him. But I think Richard Marks has this one. Charlie Chispregi will round the final corner. Checkered flag is out. Aidan Hammond takes the win. Charlie Chispregi will come home in second. Callum Franklin will take P3. And P4 will go the way of Jacob Smith ahead of the anonymous of Kart 50, which I believe is Liam Weatherall. And then comes more junior drivers. Louis Bishop at the front in his blue helmet, just ahead of Sam Gadd. Then comes the anonymous of Kart 60 and Harry Jupp. And what about Richard Marks? Where is Richard? Here he is. Big gap to Kimi Densham behind. And actually, it is Karadzov who is up into second. Contact between Kent and Densham as Jacob Kent goes up the inside of Densham through turn 9. Densham tries to fight back, and now Devereaux is searching for a way through. Is he going to go up the inside? No, he can't quite. Kimi Densham tries to go up the inside of Jacob Kent. There are lots of hands in the air. Karadzov fist in the air. Fantastic drive from Alexander Karadzov to take second. Jacob Kent in P3. And then I believe it was Kimi Densham who came home in P4. No, James Devereaux beat Kimi Densham to the line by half a second. Tyler Rickard then comes home in P6 ahead of the anonymous Kart 72 and Janos Zavas. Well, that was an absolutely cracking battle. But an absolutely cracking battle then between our cadets and our juniors. And with that, we're going to get our second heat out onto circuit as quickly as possible. Just waiting for more junior and cadet karts for our drivers to be able to jump into. I'm starting to lose my voice already. We're barely halfway through the day as well. But really good battling out there. Very excited for Heat 3 and Heat 4 now. And indeed, our A finals and B finals as well. Heat 3 is going to be very fun though. Caelan Keith starting on pole. Lewis Bowie starting from P3. And Rayan Malik as well, starting from down in P6. All three of them very, very fast. And I think Caelan Keith was the quickest in practice. In the first heat, struggled to kind of navigate his way through the field, which allowed the likes of Rayan Malik and Lewis Bowie to come home first and second in that order. So I'm going to take a little break off the mic, and then we'll be back in a few minutes for our third heat of the day. So, for those people who are listening in on YouTube now, because I'm muted over the circuit mics, hello to everyone. Hope you're having a good time. If you do have any questions about the series, the championship, then throw me a message. So we're getting ready to get underway then with our third heat of the day. So out in the junior field will be Archie Davies on pole, Jacob Trispregi second, Thomas Jolly and Samuel Aston on row 2. Max Wilimowski and Daniel Harrison on row 3, ahead of William Hayter and Oliver Sanderson. Charlie Murray and Bly Gregory will be on row 5. In Cadet Heat 3, Caelan Keith will be starting on pole, with Teddy Mullen lining up alongside. Lewis Bowie and Janos Savas will be starting on row 2. Christopher Mackey-Williams and Rayan Malik will be on row 3, with George Wilimowski and Gillen Townsend on row 4. So we're going to be getting everyone gridded up on the approach. Actually, no, I think we're just bringing them around straight onto the start-finish straight, gridding them up, and then getting underway for our third heat of the day. This should be a pretty good third heat. In Heat 1, we saw Jacob Trisbregi taking the win ahead of Oliver Sanderson and Charlie Murray. Now, Charlie Murray and Oliver Sanderson starting at the back of the field. Jacob Trisbregi starting right towards the front. I think Samuel Aston might be having a very good shout at taking P2 in this race. Had a lot of good pace in the first heat of the day. Was starting towards the back, so it took him a while to get through. Max Wilimowski as well, very quick. Going to be quite interesting to see Oliver Sanderson and Charlie Murray making their way past those two. Cadet Heat 3 though, as I've said before, Caelan Keith, Lewis Bowie, Rayan Malik are your 3 to watch out for. They were first, second and third in Heat 1. And we know Caelan Keith was the quickest out on circuit in the practice, and I believe in the heat as well. Just struggled to get through the field a bit. Now though, Caelan Keith will be starting on pole. Seeing Rayan Malik having his hand up, so not quite sure what the issue is there for our reigning cadet champion. But it looks like we are pretty much ready to get underway. I'm seeing George Wilimowski as well, just having a quick check over by the marshal. All right, so we are ready to get underway then, and our juniors are off, being led by Archie Davies and Jacob Trisbregi. Through turn 1 they go, no big drama. As we now head into the chicane of 2 and 3, still Davies leading from Trisbregi, as in P3 I believe that is Thomas Jolly, with Samuel Ashton in P4 with that blue suit and blue helmet. Actually, I think that might be Max Wilimowski. He's got a really good start, but our cadets are underway as well. And it's a good start from Caelan Keith, who leads the field as well. Lewis Bowie already up into third place. We're going to have a go up the inside into turn 2. Can't make it work. And Lewis Bowie will have to settle for P3. Rayan Malik just behind. But this is a perfect opportunity now for Caelan Keith just to get his head down and pull away from the field, as Teddy Mullen will be keeping Lewis Bowie behind for a bit. Maybe not, because Lewis Bowie gets a really good exit out of turn 5. As Jacob Trisbregi, bit of contact between himself and I believe, who was that? That was Archie Davies. And Archie Davies still battling with Jacob Trisbregi. This has actually allowed Thomas Jolly to pass the pair of them. And Jacob Trisbregi still side by side with Davies heading through turn 1. And now Samuel Aston's going to go up the inside of Davies into turn 2. Hayter's on the outside of Davies through 3. And Davies is going to lose 1, 2, 3 places in the space of a couple of corners, as he desperately tried to fight back Jacob Trisbregi, but sadly for him, to no avail. Lewis Bowie is all over the back of Caelan Keith, heading through the chicane as Rayan Malik tries to have a go up the inside of turn 2. That move didn't work on Teddy Mullen. And Teddy Mullen will hold on to P3 for now. Is that an attempted move up the inside? I'm seeing here potentially for Samuel Aston. Has to stay behind Thomas Jolly this time round. William Hayter right behind Jacob Chisbregi at the front of the field. He has absolutely checked out. And now it's all about this battle for P2. And can Thomas Jolly keep this field behind him? Samuel Aston hot on his heels. Lewis Bowie right behind Caelan Keith heading into turn 10. As this is looking like actually a very good drive from Gillen Townsend, who's right behind Rayan Malik. Townsend's going to go up the inside of the reigning champion. Rayan Malik, cool and calm, looks for the switchback. Gets a little bit squeezed on the run towards turn 1, but Townsend has the drive, and Townsend is up into P4. Great drive from Gillen Townsend. And am I seeing now Samuel Aston further down the field? Has there been contact? I think there has, because Samuel Aston was running in P3 right behind Thomas Jolly, but he's dropped down the field now to, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9th. So something has happened to Samuel Aston, and we've missed it, presumably through the chicane, but Samuel Aston has a lot of work to do now. Oliver Sanderson up into P4 behind William Hayter and Thomas Jolly as they come across the start-finish line. But Caelan Keith and Lewis Bowie checking out at the front of the field. Rayan Malik right behind Gillen Townsend. And just in front of Gillen Townsend is the blue suit and black helmet of Teddy Mullen, who's been having a really good defensive drive so far. Lewis Bowie's just surging for any way through on Caelan Keith, but for now sits behind. And I think Lewis knows that if he wins this race, he will be starting on the front row of the grid for the A final, or at very worst, P3, and possibly even on pole. If he finishes second, though, he could be starting, down in 4th, maybe even 5th. And it does have an impact, as that's Oliver Sanderson now having a go around the outside of Thomas Jolly through turn 9. What a move from Oliver Sanderson as he takes second place away from Thomas Jolly. Callum Franklin fighting now with William Hayter. No way through, side by side with, I believe that is, who's that he's battling with? Is that Daniel Harrison or is that Bly Gregory? I think that's Bly Gregory with the white suit and the green helmet, who looks very similar to Freddie Hill, as Rayan Malik's going up the inside of Gillen Townsend into turn 10. They're still side by side, and Townsend's not going to give up without a fight. Up the inside of Rayan Malik he goes, tries to keep it on the apex, but Rayan Malik gets the switchback. Rayan Malik has his hand in the air. Don't know what you're complaining about. This is really good battling between the pair of them. Well, I know what he's complaining about. The drivers up ahead are getting away. Well, if that's the case, then push the driver in front of you along instead of trying to overtake. As here comes Lewis Bowie. He's going to go up the inside of Caelan Keith into turn 5. Good move. Caelan Keith, though, on the switchback. Does he get the drive? They're side by side. Take a look at our juniors as well. It's a 5-way battle making their way through turn 9. At the front of it, though, is William Hayter. And that is Callum Franklin following through on one of our cadets. So Samuel Aston has now closed in onto this battle as well. Really fun battling happening in both the junior and the cadet categories. But behind William Hayter, who is that? That is Bly Gregory. And then it is Daniel Harrison, followed by Thomas Jolly and Max Wilimowski. Lewis Bowie, now that he has found a way through on Caelan Keith, now that Caelan Keith has someone to follow, Caelan Keith is the quicker of the two, and is looking like, when is Caelan Keith going to find a way through? And that's just the power of following someone, just getting that little bit of extra motivation, having a target to chase. Oliver Sanderson, oh my God, look how far ahead of the field Jacob Chisbregi is. He is not holding any punches. Oliver Sanderson has pulled away from this battle behind, as William Hayter now leads ahead of Bly Gregory. And then after Bly Gregory comes Daniel Harrison, who's got a very similar suit to Callum Franklin. Wait, that is Callum Franklin, isn't it? Wait, no, it's not. It is just a very similar suit to Callum's. Samuel Aston as well, still trying to find a way through on... Who is Samuel Aston behind? I think he's behind Archie Davies right now. Lewis Bowie, though, still leading, with Caelan Keith right behind. And here is the battle for P4. Gillen Townsend with Ryan Malik right behind him. And then George Wilimovsky just behind those two. And this is Bly Gregory trying to have a go at William Haight. He's looking round the outside now of turn 9. Is he close enough to have a send into 10? No, not quite. As that is Malik getting the exit on Townsend coming out of turn 5. Don't think so. And for those people who are tuning in over on YouTube, we are now back and ready to get underway for the fourth heat of the day. The final heat of the day in Cadet Heat 4. You're looking at Kimi Densham, Alexander Karadzov, so quick in our first heat, in his first heat of the day. Richard Marks, Jacob Kent, Tyler Rickard, very quick. Honestly, I can see anyone winning Heat 4 in the cadet class. Junior Heat 4 though, Jacob Smith was very quick. Charlie Chispregi, Aidan Hammond, Callum Franklin starting from the back. Those are your three to really watch out for. Maybe Liam Weatherall will have a good shout at actually being able to win this one with a large field between himself and those alienly quick three at the rear. It was Aidan Hammond who was able to win Heat 2 ahead of Charlie Chispregi and Callum Franklin. We'll see whether Aidan can make it 2 from 2. And then it will come down to who's got the faster lap out of himself and Jacob Chispregi to take pole for the A final. So we are pretty much ready to get underway, just making a few final checks. And then we'll be heading out for the final heat of the day. Sam Gadd and Louis Bishop on the front row for Junior Heat 4. Again, my eyes are on those three at the back. Charlie Chispregi, Aidan Hammond, Callum Franklin. Charlie Chispregi, the reigning champion of the Junior INKART Championship. And Aidan Hammond, very quick, has always been a rival for Charlie and Jacob Chispregi, whether that is in these juniors or in the cadets that they were in last year. And then that cadet Heat 4, that is an absolutely stacked cadet grid, and they were battling so ferociously in the last race. Richard Marks was able to win that, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. I think Alexander Karadzov came second, and then it was either Jacob Kent or Kimi Densham in one order or the other. Kimi Densham now starting from pole. Can he just run away with this race while Alexander Karadzov has to battle with the likes of Richard Marks and Jacob Kent? I think Jacob Kent, pace-wise, raw pace-wise, is probably the quickest in that field. He was quickest in practice, quickest in Heat 2. But can he get through the field quickly enough is his issue. Can he get through cleanly enough? And it is the main issue that we see with the cadets. Usually everyone very nervous to overtake. They don't want to cause accidents. And when they do go for overtakes, sometimes they're a little bit too late on the brakes. Kind of go a bit sideways. If they make a bit of contact, they tend to just let the driver they made contact with through rather than say, hey, that was a hard but fair move. It's a good bit of sportsmanship between our cadet drivers usually. Just restarting the engine on, I believe that is Richard Marks' kart. And there's a thumbs up, so we are ready to go then. Sam Gadd, Louis Bishop, front row of the grid. Liam Weatherall and Janos Zavas on row 2. And it is eyes on the lights, and we are ready to go racing. Who will get the best of starts? It's a very good start from Sam Gadd on the front row of the grid. Louis Bishop tucks in behind. Keep your eyes on Charlie Chispregi and Aidan Hammond in those green suits further down the order as they make their way through the chicane. Someone goes straight on into the tyre barriers. Yellow flag is out, and I think that means we're going to be holding that cadet start for just a bit. Are we going to go full course yellow with this? However, Louis Bishop is now leading the way from Sam Gadd. That's Liam Weatherall in third place, searching for a way through on Gadd as they're heading down into Linkback Corner. National Corner, and our cadets are underway, being led by Kimi Densham and Alexander Karadzov on the front row of the grid. Great start from Densham, and a really good start for Richard Marks, who's already up into second by turn 1. So Karadzov drops down into P3. Jacob Kent sitting in P4 as the field make their way through cleanly the opening couple of corners, but it is Densham who leads from Marks, Karadzov and Jacob Kent. And there is Louis Bishop ahead of Sam Gadd. Charlie Chispregi is already up into P4 now, searching for a way through on Liam Weatherall, but he's got Aidan Hammond for company directly behind him. And Callum Franklin trying to follow these two through, but he's got one kart separating himself and the green suits of Cispregi and Hammond as they are heading through turn 4. And I think Aidan Hammond's going to have a go at Charlie Cispregi here. It's very close. Liam Weatherall holding the inside. Hammond's going to go up the inside of Charlie Cispregi, and he pushes Liam Weatherall past Sam Gadd. So Sam Gadd will be saying thank you very much for that one, Aidan. And Aidan will be saying thank you for letting me get past Charlie. Good working between the pair of them. Kimi Densham, though, still leading, pulling a couple of car lengths ahead of Richard Marks and Alexander Karadzov. And the pair of them are indeed gapping Jacob Kent. So Jacob Kent not quite showing that same pace that he had in practice in the opening heat, as Charlie Cispregi very close to Sam Gadd, and Aidan Hammond has dropped back behind Cispregi, now looking for the switchback coming out of turn 10. He's going to be on the outside into the final corner, but up the inside of Sam Gadd goes Charlie Cispregi, and Aidan Hammond is going to be looking for the switchback on the pair of them. It's 3 abreast heading into turn 1. Aidan Hammond holds on to the position. They're still side by side. Sam Gadd has dropped behind the pair of them, but Charlie Cispregi round the outside of Hammond through the chicane takes P3. Great battling in the junior field, and now Sam Gadd will be trying to defend from, who is that right behind him? I believe that is Callum Franklin, as Aidan Hammond gets a good run on Charlie Cispregi coming out of turn 5. They're heading down towards National Corner now. Richard Marks has dropped down the field, I believe, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to Richard, and I'm not sure what's happened to Alexander Karadzov. The pair of them have dropped down the order like flies, and Jacob Kent is now in second place. There goes Charlie Cispregi up the inside of Aidan Hammond. These two are battling like absolute nutters, and it's really working well for Louis Bishop at the front of this field as he's just driving away. Liam Weatherall, though, slowly but surely closing in. Sam Gadd has Callum Franklin directly behind him last time round. Louis Bishop, 59.7. Jacob Smith, 59.9. Sorry, that's not Liam Weatherall in second. And that is Jacob Smith, who's currently running in second place. But here is Aidan Hammond once again on Charlie Cispregi. He's now on the outside heading into turn 5. Cispregi holds the inside. No way through for Hammond this time round. And Kimi Densham has Jacob Kent right behind him as they go around the outside of, I believe that is one of the juniors. You can really see the difference in kart size. And behind the pair of them, James Devereaux is closing in. He wants to be a part of this fight for the lead. And when you think about it, there's so many quick drivers in this heat, and some of them are going to be ending up in the B final as well. Jacob Kent has found a way through on Kimi Densham. Sorry, that's James Devereaux. Oh, contact! Contact! Kimi Densham onto the grass, and I think that's on Kimi Densham. Kimi Densham and Jacob Kent were side by side. Densham, I think, tried to close the door, not realising that Kent was alongside him, and that has spun Kimi Densham, and he's beached on the grass. Oh, dearie, dearie me, that was shaping up to be such a fantastic battle between those two. And that's going to be one for the stewards to look at through the cameras that are dotted around the circuit to see exactly what happened and to see who's at fault. But from first sight, I think Kimi Densham came across Jacob Kent not realising that he was there. I think that one might just be a racing incident. Charlie Cispregi, though, battling as he finds a way through on Jacob Smith. Aidan Hammond passes Jacob Smith as well, as these two are up into second and third. Aidan Hammond, though, gets the run coming out of the final corner, up the inside into turn 1. Aidan Hammond and Charlie Cispregi continue to battle in Heat 4, just like they did in Heat 2, pardon me. And Charlie Cispregi down into P3, and they can hunt down Louis Bishop for the lead of the race. We've still got 5.5 minutes of battling to go as well, but Jacob Kent will just be getting his head down and trying to pull away from the field behind him. Richard Marks is down in P3. What can he do? Look at this battle we've got going on between 4 drivers through turn 5. A bit of contact as people are trying to muscle their way through, just find any space if they can. Here is Jacob Kent. In fairness to James Devereaux, he is closing in, and Richard Marks staying a couple of seconds behind. And I think the stewards have made a decision on the Kimi Densham incident with Jacob Kent, and I think they've just said that one's a racing incident. I think Kimi Densham came across the front of Jacob Kent, not realising he was there. So sadly for Kimi, he has kind of thrown his race away, and I think he might now be starting in the B final with that. He is very, very far down the order, a lap down on the rest of the field. As past Louis Bishop goes Aidan Hammond. Charlie Chisbregi still stuck behind Louis, so Aidan Hammond's just going to be checking out. Aidan Hammond has been having an absolutely fantastic season opener. As Kimi Densham has just gone flying through the pit lane. And he's come out right in front of Jacob Kent. Is there going to be contact between these guys? Because I think Kimi Densham's essentially saying, I'm going to battle with him and get revenge of some sort. Or maybe it's going to be a clean battle. Hopefully it's the latter. But I think Kimi Densham is going to be getting a black flag for pit lane speed limit. As Charlie Chisbregi goes up the inside of Louis Bishop into the chicane. Jacob Kent has a few kart lengths to Kimi Densham as they head into turn 9. And I have a feeling that when Kimi Densham comes around the final corner and sees the black flag for pit lane speed limit, he's going to have his hand up in frustration. So let's just see. Around the final corner, they come. No hand up from Kimi as up the inside goes James Devereaux. James Devereaux absolutely flying right now in the cadet field. Last time round, James took 6/10 out of Jacob Kent, and there is 8/10 between them right now. Aidan Hammond, though, is checking out at the front of the field. Then it is Louis Bishop in third, ahead of Jacob Smith and Callum Franklin. Callum Franklin finishing third in the first heat of the day. And he's looking at another strong finish here in Heat 4. Which should secure him an A final start. Now, where is Kimi Densham? Because Kimi Densham was behind Jacob Kent and James Devereaux, and now he's dropped back somewhere. So I think Kimi Densham has had an incident of some sort. And into the pits comes Kimi Densham. To be fair, I think his race was already over. As we've got a bit of a battle further down the order in the junior class. As I think that is Sam Gadd battling with one of the anonymous drivers. Too many anonymous drivers on the field makes it hard to figure out who is who and where the battles are happening. But we do what we can with the information we have. I think the checkered flag is being readied for Aidan Hammond, who has had a really, really good day so far in the heats. Here is Aidan Hammond right behind Richard Marks. And Aidan Hammond will lap Richard Marks and take the checkered flag. A very good drive from Aidan. A fast lap of a 58.3. Charlie Chisbregi will take P2 ahead of Louis Bishop, Jacob Smith, Callum Franklin in P5. And then we've got an anonymous driver in P6. Sam Gadd, another anonymous driver, followed by Harry Jupp. Now, where are our cadets? Hang on a second. What's happened to Jacob Kent? At some point, Jacob Kent has fallen. Well, Jacob Kent is still where he was, but for some reason he came as a lap down. No, he is still leading. Jacob Kent will be picking up the cadet class win ahead of James Devereaux. So, Jacob Kent takes the race win on circuit ahead of James Devereaux. Richard Marks in third, Tyler Rickard in fourth, Alexander Karadzov in fifth, And then it's the 84 Anonymous and Kimi Densham at the back of the field. So with that, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in a few minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes. And while that break's happening, we're going to figure out what the grid order is for the A finals and the B finals, and then we'll be getting those finals underway. Welcome back, everyone. We're still waiting for a few drivers to make their way into their karts. So if you're out in the B final and you haven't got yourselves kitted up, then please do so as quickly as possible. Who are we missing? We're missing 5th in the cadet, which is Lewis Bowie. Oh, sorry, not Lewis. Sorry, Lewis. Kimi Densham. Kimi, hurry up. We know you're fast out on circuit. Now you just need to be fast at getting to your kart. Oh, sorry, that was a bit mean. Who else are we missing? 3rd in the junior category, Daniel Harrison. Now I see Kimi. So who else do we need? Daniel Harrison and I think 3rd, 4th, 6th and 7th. Liam Weatherall and Harry Jupp. So Liam and Harry, get yourselves kitted up into the end of pit lane. So apparently it is just now Daniel Harrison and Harry Jupp that we are waiting for. So if you know Daniel or Harry, shout at them and make them get to the end of pit lane so we can get this race underway. Look at all of these young kids who are having to wait so patiently for their race. So just a reminder of the grids. In the Cadet B final, Gillen Townsend will be starting on pole ahead of Tyler Rickard. George Wilimovsky will be starting in 3rd with Teddy Mullen alongside. Kimi Densham and Louis Cox will be on row 3 with Christopher Mackey-Williams rounding out the field. In the junior category, Jacob Aston will be on pole alongside his brother Samuel Aston. And then it will be Daniel Harrison and Sam Gadd, Max Wilimovsky, Liam Weatherall, Harry Jupp, Thomas Jolly, Archie Davies and Janos Zavas. Right, a final call then for Harry Jupp and Daniel Harrison. If you aren't at the end of pit lane within a minute or so, we're going to get this race underway without you. And you don't want to miss your race after having had 2 heats. You know, a chance to get some trophy, a chance to get some silverware. So once we get our final drivers into their karts, we can get underway. But it doesn't look like they are anywhere. So we will be starting this race without them, sadly. So a warm welcome to everyone tuning in on YouTube or those standing circuit side. If you do want to share the stream to any friends or family who might want to know how your kids are getting along, we do have a stream with the live timings up on it and all of the commentary audio going through as well. You can find it on YouTube under the channel name Milky Cereal. So our juniors out onto circuit then, and Aston won at 2. Jacob ahead of Samuel. They were in different heats. Now, I also like to do for our finals, not just who's on first, second, but who has the fastest laps. And the fast lap was Jacob Aston by nearly a second over anyone else. He's the only driver in the B final to get a 59 and a 59.2 after Jacob, it is then Samuel Aston, and then it is Archie Davies. So Archie Davies going to be a driver to watch out for, starting from pretty much the very back of the field. In the Cadet B final, the fastest lap was a 60.9 set by Kimi Densham. And remember, Kimi, one to watch out for. He should have finished first or second in the previous heat, but due to that incident he had, he finished at the back of his second heat and is now in the B final, so he'll be looking to win this one. Another very quick driver in the B final is going to be Tyler Rickard, 61.4, his fastest time, and then it is Gillen Townsend who's got the third quickest lap. So let's see what Kimi Densham can do, starting from P5 on the grid. We are gridding up our junior drivers, so our juniors now all pretty much lined up on circuit. And let's get our cadets onto track as well. Jacob Aston, Samuel Aston on the front row of the grid. Is this going to be, you know, like the Jacob Charlie rivalry then between the two Aston brothers in this B final? Let's see. But our cadets lined up. I'm seeing Kimi Densham with his hand up. So once that is sorted out, we'll get this B final underway. And then after the B final, we'll move straight into our A final. The A final grid is locked. So even if you win in the B final, you don't get promoted into the A final, as we've got one of our drivers now lined up. I think that looks like Daniel Harrison to me. So no Harry up. So Daniel will be released onto circuit after the juniors make their way through turn 1. But I think we are ready to get underway racing then. I'm seeing a thumbs up. Aston's on the front row. Sam Gadd will be starting from effectively P3. Who will get the best getaway? Eyes on the lights as they will start to appear. As I'm seeing one of the cadets rolling very far forward on their spot. But away we go. Jacob Aston gets a good getaway, but not for Samuel Aston, because Sam Gadd is already up his inside, heading into the chicane of turns 2 and 3. But Samuel Aston holds on to the position and holds on to a second place as the field makes their way into the hairpin of turn 4. And Daniel Harrison slowly tries to join onto the field, and our cadets get underway as well, being led by Gillen Townsend and Tyler Rickard. What a start for Gillen Townsend. He's already about 3 kart lengths clear of the rest of the field. Kimi Densham up into third place, heading now into the chicane of turns 2 and 3. Cleanly through from the entire field. No carnage to speak of, and Kimi Densham will be trying to make his way through very quickly. The Aston brothers, though, pulling away from the rest of the field. Jacob ahead of Samuel, heading through turn 9 and down into turn 10. It's the exact start they would have wanted. Maybe not the start that Jacob would have wanted. Maybe he would have wanted someone between himself and his brother. As a bit of a move attempt from further down the field, as I think that is Sam Gadd, who's fallen down the order just a teensy-weensy bit. And that is Archie Davies ahead of the 64 anonymous kart, which might be Liam Weatherall. And here are the cadets. Gillen Townsend leading the way. Kimi Densham up into second place. Then it's the anonymous of kart 70, followed by George Wilimowski. So the two at the front being closed in by Archie Davies. Don't forget, Archie Davies had the quickest lap of anyone in this B final. And he started from pretty much the very back of the field. And Archie Davies looking at securing some silverware for himself. He's got Sam Gadd Oh, sorry, that's not Sam Gadd behind him. Who is that? That is Thomas Jolly behind him. Actually, I'm not sure who that is directly behind him. It's coming up as an anonymous car, but Sam Gadd and Thomas Jolly are a bit further down the field. I think it might just be Liam Weatherall. I'm going to pretend it is Liam Weatherall. So Liam Weatherall then is right behind Archie Davies and gets a good run coming out of turn 10 as well. So neck and neck heading into the final corner. Archie Davies holds the inside, and Weatherall with the switchback is going to get the drive and now has the inside heading into turn 1, which will give him the inside into turn 2 as well. Still side by side. Davies on the outside into 2. Little bit of contact between the pair of them, but Weatherall will take the position. And up into P4 he goes. Ah, that's the issue. Archie Davies is right behind the top 2. So that is Liam Weatherall, who has just been overtaken by Sam Gadd. That makes a lot more sense. Still though, the field being led by Jacob Aston as they try to navigate through on one of the cadet drivers. They go for a switchback. Sam Gadd tries to defend as best as he can from Liam Weatherall heading into turn 10. And Liam Weatherall ends up coming to a stop, loses a lot of momentum. Top 3 spreading apart just a little bit. Archie Davies still sits in 3rd place. Gillen Townsend battling with Kimi Densham. And Kimi Densham around the outside gets a great drive out of the final corner. Up into the lead. I'm seeing Richard Marks cheering like crazy for Kimi. And Kimi Densham now in the lead of the cadet field. Can Gillen Townsend fight back? Remember, Gillen Townsend had a really good battle with Rayan Malik. And Kimi Densham goes wide through 3. No contact between himself and Townsend. Densham did that all on his own. And Gillen Townsend retakes the lead of the race as someone is backwards on the grass, coming back on circuit, get on the brakes. Rolls out of the way of the oncoming drivers. And that is a good reason for parents. Remind your kids, when you spin, on the brakes as quickly as possible. You do not want your kart rolling back across the circuit, because otherwise it makes it very difficult for any other karts to know what's happening. And you can get a very, very bad accident, especially there, which is the highest speed of the entire circuit. Kimi Densham, though, really good run on Gillen Townsend once more. Can't go up the inside this time round into the final corner. And through the final corner they go, still as it was before with Townsend leading. Under a bit of pressure now is Samuel Aston from Archie Davies. Jacob Aston has got himself a nice 1 or so second lead to this battle for second place. Sam Gadd in a very respectable P4. Daniel Harrison slowly trying to make his way through the field. Currently 1 second behind Thomas Jolly in the battle for P6. And there is Kimi Densham as one of the juniors rejoins the circuit. I thought that could have ended badly. Gillen Townsend can't quite get up the inside of Densham into turn 1. And Kimi Densham this time has got the lead. Will he make the same mistake through the chicane? No, he will not. And Gillen Townsend will have to hold on to second for now. Still our battles rage on, and it is still Jacob Aston who leads the field from Samuel Aston. Samuel Aston coming under increased pressure from Archie Davies. Quick call for our A-final drivers. So the drivers who are out on circuit right now, get yourselves race ready and make your way to the end of pit lane so we can start getting you seated into your karts. We have 8 minutes remaining in this race, and the sun is now out and shining here in Milton Keynes. Very nicely shining as well. Through the opening chicane they go, and that's Archie Davies getting a really good run now on Samuel Aston. Can't quite pull alongside on the run into turn 6. And look at this, Gillen Townsend is right on the back of Kimi Densham. So Kimi Densham was able to close in onto Townsend very quickly, was able to get past, but cannot pull away. Nose to tail into the chicane of 2 and 3. Does Gillen Townsend have enough pace to make a move, or can he just sit behind Kimi and just have to hope that Kimi Densham might make a mistake? I'm seeing Max Wilimowski having just been overtaken by, I believe that is Daniel Harrison, as they come across the line. And Daniel Harrison now hunting down Thomas Jolly. I think Max Wilimowski, though, very quick. He's actually closed in onto Daniel Harrison, and now we've got a 3-way battle for P6. I think the rest of the field too far ahead for them to try to close into, so this is just going to be a 3-way fight for P6. There goes Densham and Townsend. .59.3 fastest lap times for our race leaders, Jacob and Samuel Aston. Archie Davies also in the 59.3s as well. And here is Harrison looking for a way through on Thomas Jolly. Then Harrison gets a good run. Can he get up the inside into turn 1? Jolly trying to cover off the inside, and Harrison is forced to yield and back out of the move. Getting Townsend close to Densham. Not quite close enough to have a send into the hairpin. And here is this battle in the junior field, making their way through turn 9 now. Few karts side by side. Very late on the brakes from a couple of the juniors. Is that one of the cadets they're trying to lap? I think it is. And then your junior leaders are closing in, being led still by Jacob Aston. But Samuel Aston is closing back in, as is Archie Davies. And these two maybe have been working together a bit, as that's an incident. Oh, Jacob Aston can't get through. And dearie me, onto the brakes goes Archie Davies and backwards into the tyre barriers. And now Samuel Aston finds himself leading the race. All of the karts have been able to get going again. But it is Samuel Aston who comes out on top as a result, navigates his way through flawlessly. Jacob Aston was left with nowhere to go, had to jump on the brakes, and it made it a very easy pass in the end. As here comes Gillen Townsend trying to have a go at Kimi Densham. Densham late on the brakes, and one of the cadets gets fired out wide. I don't think there was a lot of contact between Densham and whoever that cadet was. As here is Jacob Aston going the long way round one of the cadets, Samuel Aston on the outside. This could end in disaster. Samuel Aston carries the momentum the long way round turn 10, and he has extended his gap to his brother Jacob. So Samuel Aston, well, he got gifted the race lead, but he's done a fantastic job of holding on to it and extending it now, navigating his way through these back markers really, really well. I think the saddest of everyone is going to be Archie Davies, who has lost out on the opportunity to fight for the win. Now, where is Densham and Townsend? Because those two are probably going to be still battling somewhere. Here they are, making their way through turn 9. Townsend closes in under braking, bit of contact. And Townsend is going to take the position. That might be a bump and pass, you know. Gillen Townsend, though, won't care. He's up in the front, and he's just going to focus on this. On maintaining this race lead with 3 minutes on the clock. Can Kimi Densham fight back? Here goes Jacob Aston. Up the inside of, I believe that is Tyler Rickard. And look how far up the road Samuel Aston is. As Archie Davies is slowly going to be trying to close in onto Jacob. And at the very least, pick up a P2. Oh, that's going to be contact into turn 10. Someone very late on the brakes in this three-way battle in the junior class. That looked like William Hayter, but William Hayter is in the A final. So it's someone wearing a similar suit, which means that is, I think, Thomas Jolly, Daniel Harrison, and Max Wilimowski in their three-way battle for P6. And it is Thomas Jolly at the front of it, ahead of Wilimowski. Wilimowski going up the inside now into turn 4. And they're going to be side by side, heading down into turn 5. Can Can Harrison take advantage of this? Has to slot in behind. Kimi Densham getting a good run now on Gillen Townsend, heading into turn 1. But Townsend has enough momentum that he can slam the door shut on Densham through the opening corner with just a few minutes remaining now. But Samuel Aston has completely checked out. 59.1, fast slap of the race. Archie Davies, though, with a 59.0. We are on to the final lap of this race. So 1 lap and a bit then for Kimi Densham to try to retake the lead of this B final. Gillen Townsend has been really, really good today. Very, very impressive. And these two are practically nose to tail. They are nose to tail heading into turn 9, but it is still Gillen Townsend ahead of Kimi Densham. Townsend goes wide. That's going to give an opportunity for Kimi Densham on corner exit. Can't pull up alongside into the final corner. Townsend goes defensive. Kimi Densham's going to close in on corner exit as we start the final lap of the race for our cadet. Samuel Aston too far back to really get involved and affect this cadet battle. Samuel Aston will take the checkered flag ahead of Jacob, who I'm sure Jacob will be a little bit disheartened by that. But still a good drive from Jacob. Archie Davies will come home in P3. P4 goes away of Sam Gadd. And then here come the rest of our juniors. What a field this is. I think that is Liam Weatherall in P5. Then Thomas Jolly, Max Wilimowski, Daniel Harrison. But here come the cadets. Gillen Townsend, Kimi Densham, the last lap of the race. And the cadets still battling for the lead. Does Densham go up the inside too far back? Has Townsend outbraked himself? He has a little. Kimi Densham's going to get a really good run. He's on the outside, but Townsend critically has the inside into the final corner. Kimi Densham looks for the switchback. It's practically a drag to the line, but Townsend gets a good exit. And Gillen Townsend will take the race win ahead of Kimi Densham. P3 will go to Tyler Rickard. Then it is the 70 anonymous cart, which I think might be Louis Cox, then George Wilimowski, Janos Savas, Telly Mullen, and Christopher Mackey-Williams. So with that, we're going to bring these carts into the pit lane and send out our A finalists onto circuit shortly. So I'm going to grab a quick breather. Welcome back, everyone. We are getting our A final underway. We've got all of our juniors out on circuit and all of our cadets. So, with that said, let's run you all through the order for this race. In the cadet A final, Kaylin Keith will be starting on pole with Rayan Malik alongside. I believe Richard Marks isn't racing for some reason. So, James Devereaux will be starting in third ahead of Lewis Bowie. Jacob Kent and Alexander Karadzov will be starting on the third row of the grid. In the Junior A final, Aidan Hammond and Jacob Chispregui will be on row 1, Charlie Chispregui and Oliver Sanderson on row 2, Callum Franklin and Jacob Smith on row 3, Bly Gregory and Louis Bishop on row 4, with Charlie Murray and William Hayter completing the field. So our juniors lining up on grid. Aidan Hammond, Jacob Chispregui on the front row, Charlie Chispregui in third. It's always those three at the front. Faster lap of those three was Aidan Hammond. That's how he's on pole over Jacob. I think Jacob and Charlie will be having a good tussle between them and with Aidan Hammond. But so far today, Aidan Hammond has been untouchable. He's had so much pace, so I can just see him driving away with this one. Keep your eyes out for Callum Franklin. He's been very quick today. Second fastest lap of anyone, starting all the way down in P5. If he can get through Oliver Sanderson quickly, I think he will be able to stick with this three-way battle for the lead. Or the two-way battle for second place. In the Cadet A final, Kaylin Keith. What a debut showing he's been having in the Cadet Championship. Rayan Malik in second. Should be a good battle between the pair of them. No Richard Marks. Keep your eyes out for Jacob Kent. He's been phenomenally fast today. Quickest lap of anyone in the cadet field, starting from pretty much the very back. But we are ready to get underway then for our first Junior A final of the INKART Season 2 Championship. And it is eyes on the light. And away we go. Good start from Jacob Chispregui. Charlie Chispregui is going to look for the outside. Aidan Hammond. Wait, where is Aidan Hammond? Aidan Hammond is starting from the back of the field. Has he had a spin on the formation lap? So Aidan Hammond has a lot of work to do. He navigates his way through carnage through turn 2 very well. But it is Jacob Chispregui who leads ahead of Charlie Chispregui. And is that Callum Franklin already up into P3? I believe it is. A great start from Callum Franklin as our cadets get underway, being led by Kaylin Keith into turn 1. And Rayan Malik is going to lose out on second place to James Devereaux. James has been getting faster and faster all day long. Lewis Bowie right behind Rayan Malik. And there is Jacob Kent just behind Bowie. Very quick Cadet A final. And all of these A finalists have been driving at some of the best performances I've seen from them over the last year or so. But the top three in the junior class make their way through the hairpin. And it is Jacob Chispregui who is ahead of Charlie and Callum Franklin. Jacob Chispregui does not get a good run out of the final corner. The more these three battle, the better it is for Aidan Hammond, who has got a good run on Bly Gregory. Up the inside of turn 1 he goes. Aidan Hammond will be making his way up into P6. Still has a lot of work to do if he wants to catch up to the leading three, though. As Kaylin Keith holds the inside. Around the outside goes James Devereaux. And that's going to give an opportunity now to Rayan Malik, who's going to hang it around the outside of the final corner. He carries a lot of momentum, does Malik, but is that enough to get himself alongside Devereaux? He's still on the outside through turn 1 and has to yield on the position. And your top 6 in this Cadet A final are separated by about a second in total, as Jacob Kent has fallen to the very back of the field. And now Charlie Chispregui defending Callum Franklin round the outside. Go on, Callum. Can't quite get late enough on the brakes as he tries to go up the inside of Charlie Chispregui, but that would have been a fantastic move if Callum Franklin had pulled it off. And look at Aidan Hammond. He's already found a way through on Oliver Sanderson, and now he's trying to find a way through on, I believe that is Jacob Smith for P4. No way through this time round, and has to settle for P5, but Aidan Hammond is on a charge as here comes Rayan Malik. trying to go the long way round the outside of Kalen Keith. No successes. Up the inside goes Alexander Karadzov. Now it is 3 abreast. Lewis Bowie on the outside of 3. There's a clash with the tyre walls there from James Devereaux. That was always going to end badly. I think that's on Lewis Bowie. Didn't realise they were 3 abreast, so tried to squeeze Alexander Karadzov, not realising that on the inside of Karadzov was Devereaux. And I think that one might just be a racing incident. And now James Devereaux has a lot of work to do as Charlie Chispregi has an incident with Callum Franklin. And Aidan Hammond is going to sweep past Chispregi. Has also been able to find a way through on Jacob Smith, who is now battling with Oliver Sanderson. But Jacob Chispregi now out clear in the front. Can Callum Franklin hunt him down? Aidan Hammond up into 3rd place. As Rayan Malik looking for a way through on Kalen Keith. He's got the inside for 9, outside for turn 10. Contact Rayan Malik up onto the grass. Puts his hand up in frustration. But we know Rayan Malik likes to put his hand up for pretty much anything at this point. Good battling between the two of them. Little bit of contact, but Rayan Malik up in the front. What can Kalen Keith do? We know in his previous heat when he had fallen behind Lewis Bowie, he was able to fight back and retake the lead. Can he do this with the reigning champion Rayan Malik? Alexander Karadzov closing in as well, dragging Jacob Kent along with him. And you can see Callum Franklin closing in on to Jacob Chispregi. This junior race is not done yet. I think we're going to have a 4-way battle as that's a nice send up the inside from Louis Bishop. Up the inside of William Hayter to take the position. So I think that's Jacob Smith at the back of the train of karts. That's coming across the start-finish line now. And look at Alexander Karadzov. He is right on the back of Kalen Keith. Up the inside now through turn 9. It's going to be the outside for turn 10. Alexander Karadzov hangs it around the outside. He gets the drive out of turn 10 as well. Great move as Karadzov goes up the inside of the final corner. But Kalen Keith looks for the switchback. Not going to find it. Alexander Karadzov up into 2nd place as Jacob Kent battling now with James Devereaux. James Devereaux, having dropped to the very back of the field, trying to fight his way back through it, has been able to get 1 position on Lewis Bowie. Now searches for a way through on Kent. Here comes Jacob Chispregi, still being hunted down by Callum Franklin and Aidan Hammond. Ooh, a bit of a moment from Hammond. He has to back out of his approach into turn 10 just to stabilise his car. Last time round, Callum Franklin taking 2/10 out of Jacob Chispregi. This time round, Jacob Chispregi. What lap time will it be? We wait for the time to update. 59.5. Callum Franklin, new fastest lap for him. A 59.1, but Aidan Hammond with a 58.6. These top 3 are really Constantinering up together. Is that a word, Constantinering? I don't know. Either way, Alexander Karadzov has dropped a position to Kalen Keith. Goes up the inside through turn 10, reclaims the position, and can now try to hunt down Rayan Malik once more. And we've got a 3-way battle for 4th place heating up as well. Jacob Kent being hunted down by James Devereaux with Lewis Bowie just behind. And literally, I can see any of these 6 drivers winning. If Rayan Malik gets in a bit of a battle with Karadzov, they're all going to bunch up once again. And look at Callum Franklin. He has closed in on to Jacob Chispregi, and Aidan Hammond has in turn closed in as well. As up the inside it goes Louis Bishop. Hanging around the outside, though, is Bly Gregory, and they're still side by side heading into the final corner. Gregory with the inside gets the job done. William Hayter going to use this as an opportunity to get up the inside of Louis Bishop heading into turn 1. Can't get the drive, has to back out of the move, and that's actually going to give an opportunity now to Charlie Murray to get involved, and Charlie Murray will be able to get the position on William Hayter. And just goes to show, even if you think you can make a move work, if you get it slightly wrong, you're just going to lose a whole bunch of positions. Rayan Malik just seems to have this gap at the front under control. I remember interviewing him towards the end of last season and asked him, you know, what helps you? And he says, you've got to always be calm. But I always see him raising his hand up, which makes me think that he's never calm and he's always furious with every single battle that happens out on circuit. But your top 3, very close, particularly Aidan Hammond to the back of Callum Franklin, Charlie Chispregi a further second or so behind. Charlie Murray having a good battle with Oliver Sanderson for P5. As Bly Gregory looking once again for a move on Louis Bishop. Can't get the drive out of the final corner. Your top three in the cadet class. Rayan Malik, 60.1, 60.3 for Karadzov, 60.1 for Kalen Keith. They are trading lap times. But it does look like this time round, Karadzov has closed in onto Rayan Malik. And Lewis Bowie is now ahead of both Jacob Kent and indeed James Devereaux. So good stuff from Lewis Bowie, but can he close into the top three? I think he's going to require a bit of help from Karadzov battling with Rayan Malik. Rayan Malik that time round 59.8, 59.7 for Karadzov. Kalen Keith 60.4. As Aidan Hammond has found a way through on Callum Franklin. So Aidan Hammond from the very back of the Junior A final, having, qualified on pole. Still not sure why he's had to start at the back. I reckon he had a spin on the formation lap. But he's right on the back of Jacob Chesbreggy, heading through the chicane. Going to look for the switchback. Maybe could go up the inside of turn 4. But as these three battle, that's going to allow Charlie Chesbreggy to close it in. They're practically three abreast, heading down into turn 5. Callum Franklin on the inside of Aidan Hammond. Callum Franklin back up into second place. But Aidan Hammond with a switchback moves his way back up into second. And they're still side by side, heading down into Linkback corner, turn 6. Your cadets make their way through the final corner, still being led by Rayan Malik, but being closed in by Alexander Karadzov. And it is still Jacob Chesbreggy who leads, but Aidan Hammond up into second, Callum Franklin in third, and Charlie Chesbreggy is all over the rear end of Callum Franklin in the battle for the final podium spot. Callum Franklin goes defensive into the final corner, and Charlie Chesbreggy just riding on Callum Franklin's rear into the corner, pushing him along. Louis Bishop going up the inside of Oliver Sanderson into turn 10. What an A final we have, and Louis Bishop squeezes, slams the door shut on Sanderson on corner exit, and Charlie Chesbreggy is now through on Callum Franklin. Through the chicane they go, but Aidan Hammond has a lot of time now to battle with Jacob Chesbreggy, and these two have battled with each other so much, not just in the junior category, but in the cadet category a year ago. And look at Alexander Karadzov on the back of Rayan Malik. Alexander Karadzov has never won an A final. I don't think he's had a second in an A final either, but he definitely hasn't won one, and he will really take this. Kalen Keith on his debut showing here at Daytona Milton Keynes, having an absolute cracker of a day. Lewis Bowie in fourth, Jacob Kent closing in. Jacob Chesbreggy, though, still leading the way. Last time round, Karadzov taking 2/10 out of Rayan Malik, and Kalen Keith taking 3/10 out of Karadzov. Jacob Chesbreggy tucking his head down behind his steering wheel, trying to get some extra aerodynamics on the start-finish straight. How long do we have left in this race? 6 minutes. Oh, we've got loads of racing ahead of us, don't we? Across the line then comes Charlie Murray, who's got Louis Bishop right behind him, followed by Oliver Sanderson. And after Oliver Sanderson comes Bly Gregory. Aidan Hammond looking for the outside of Jacob Chesbreggy. That's going to open the door for Charlie Chesbreggy. So Charlie up into second. Is it Chesbreggy 1-2? Aidan Hammond on the outside of Chesbreggy. That's going to become the inside now into Linkback corner. They drop out of vision momentarily. And what is the order going to be as they make their way onto the back straight? It is Aidan Hammond who is back up into second place. But they are so close together, they're practically morphing into one. Jacob Chesbreggy leads the way. Can Aidan Hammond go up the inside into turn 10? No, too far back. 1, 2, 3, 4, quick as you like. With Callum Franklin at the rear end of this train, waiting for an opportunity to strike. And Jacob Chesbreggy tries to park it on the apex. They all go into each other. Very smart from Jacob, just to lift off the throttle mid-corner. Leave Aidan Hammond with nowhere to go, so Hammond can't get the drive on him. Very smart stuff from the former INKART cadet champion. Through turn 4 they go. Callum Franklin must be having a big smile on his face. He's never been in a battle with these three before, but he's really found a lot of pace over the break between Season 1 and Season 2. And what a way to start his season. A podium in the A final with both Chesbreggys and Aidan Hammond racing. A bit wide from Karadzov. That's going to give an opportunity now for Keith to go up the inside through turn 1. Gets the job done. All of this playing into the hands of Rayan Malik, who's just been getting his head down. So our juniors make their way into turn 10 once more. Still nose to tail. Aidan Hammond gets a good run. But I think Jacob Chesbreggy is actually just backing Aidan Hammond up a bit. This time Aidan Hammond gets a good run, but not quite good enough. And now Charlie Chesbreggy is looking for the outside of Aidan Hammond into turn 1. Has to slot in behind. Jacob Chesbreggy, what a defensive drive this is. He's parking it on every single apex, trying to keep these three at bay. And it's leading to an absolutely wonderful battle for the first A-final win of the season. Still, Jacob from Aiden, from Charlie, from Callum. Through turn 5 they go, but Aiden Hammond has finally got a run. Coming out of turn 5 as they're heading down towards the link-back corner. Can Aiden Hammond pull off the move? He's going to be on the outside into link-back corner. And they will be out of vision momentarily. Who is at the front? I think it is still Jacob Trespeggy, but look at Callum Franklin. He's in the battle now. They're almost 4 abreast heading into turn 9. Callum Franklin around the outside has to yield. Jacob Trespeggy on the inside of Aiden Hammond. Charlie Trespeggy going to follow him through. Aiden Hammond up onto the curb, but holds on to P2. But critically, it is still Jacob Trespeggy at the front. And again, Jacob Trespeggy with that cheeky little lift through the final corner. And now Callum Franklin's on the outside of Charlie Trespeggy through turn 1. What an A-final we are witnessing here. Charlie Trespeggy holds the inside and holds on to P3 through the chicane. 3 minutes remaining. Aiden Hammond gets a good run on Jacob Trespeggy. He's on the outside into the final corner. Sorry, not the final corner, through turn 5. And Aiden Hammond looks for the switchback, can't find a way through. This is one of the best defensive drives I've ever seen from the junior category, and it's coming from Jacob Trespeggy. Usually when we think of defensive drives, I tend to think of Ellis Owens. Not racing today. William Hayter tends to defend very well, but this time it is Jacob Trespeggy who is pulling out all of the stops, channeling his inner Jarno Trulli, his Timo Glock. Callum Franklin trying to go up the inside of Charlie Trespeggy through turn 10 as Aiden Hammond has dropped to the back of this cluster of carts. Can't go up the inside into the final corner. And now it's Jacob versus Charlie. Trespeggy versus Trespeggy. Twin versus twin. Through turn 1 and into turn 2 they go. We are on to the penultimate lap of the race. And literally any of these 4 at the front could take the win in the cadet field. Rayan Malik has been able to stretch his lead ahead of Caelan Keith. So Rayan Malik will be leading the championship unless Caelan can close in. He looks like he's closed a fair bit on this particular lap. And Lewis Bowie, James Devereaux makes contact with Lewis Bowie, and that's going to allow Jacob Kent through as well. James Devereaux, he's had so much pace today, but he's just always been involved in these unfortunate incidents that aren't necessarily his fault. But here come the junior top 4. They're going to see the last lap board out, and I think we're going to be seeing some absolute carnage on this final lap of the race. Again, Jacob Trespeggy tries just to hold the inside through the final corner. The last lap now underway. Callum Franklin up into P3. He can smell a P2. Maybe he can even smell a race win at this point. Right on the back of Charlie. Through the chicane they go, and it looks like Jacob Trespeggy has one of the biggest gaps that he's had for a large portion of this race, and it's only about half a cart length. As the field head down towards turn 5, Callum Franklin forced to go defensive as Aiden Hammond looks for the switchback. Callum Franklin gets a tap from behind from Aiden Hammond, sends him somewhat sideways, and that's going to take him out of this battle for the lead. And we're going to have 2 two-way battles, 1 for first and 1 for third. As here is Jacob Kent trying to have a go at James Devereaux, looking for the switchback out of turn 10. But here come the juniors. Charlie Trespeggy up the inside. Callum Franklin looks for the switchback. Can Charlie get the cart stopped in time? No, he can't. Aiden Hammond going to look for the switchback on all 3 of them. Aiden Hammond round the outside into the final corner. Surely not. Aiden Hammond, where has this come from? Aiden Hammond takes the race win from Jacob Trespeggy. And Charlie Trespeggy and Callum Franklin on a drag to the line. Callum Franklin takes it by 0.03 of a second. Aiden Hammond, you sneaky little fox. What a way to take the race win from 4th to 1st in the space of 2 corners. I did say any of those top 4 could win that. Louis Bishop takes P5 ahead of Charlie Murray, Oliver Sanderson, Bly Gregory, Jacob Smith, and the anonymous of Kart 64. Here is Rayan Malik. And Caelan Keith, I think he just needed 1 more lap. He's really closed into Rayan Malik over the last few minutes. But Rayan Malik will start his championship defense with a win over Caelan Keith. Alexander Karadzov, a very, very impressive P3, right in the battle with those 2 for such a long period of time. Lewis Bowie will take P4, and then will come James Devereaux, who has been very, very impressive today. Take nothing away from him, followed by Jacob Kent. But Aiden Hammond, absolutely hats off to Aiden. What an incredible, incredible drive from Aiden. From the back of the field, he should have been starting in first. I don't know why he started at the back, but he won it anyway. And he did spin on the formation lap, so only himself to blame for that. But he made up for it. Quality drive from Aiden. So with that, we're going to be signing off now. We do have an endurance race later on today. For all of you tuning on YouTube on the Milky Cereal YouTube channel, thanks for stopping by. And hopefully we'll make this stream better and better with every single week. Would love for anyone who was watching on the YouTube just to give some feedback on things that they think would improve the quality of viewing. But yeah, thank you everyone. INKART will be back, I believe, next weekend or the weekend after. Either way, we've got Super Champs next weekend and an endurance to come later today. So see you guys all next time and have a safe journey home.